So the time now is 9:10 in the morning in Greece, 7:10 UK, Greece, AM, and it will be 6:10 New Zealand, and I would imagine it's still 4:10 in the afternoon in Australia, maybe on certain parts, because it's all different time zones anyway, and it's on Friday the 6th of May. So we're here again on a hui with John, and we have 9 people in the room at the moment. Oh, sorry, eight participants. One's dropped out again. So they'll probably be back in a second. Okay, over to you then, John.
Okay, so first of all, welcome to the people who are watching, or if you're on camera or not. But I just, one thing I wanted to put right first at the beginning of this was to let Kate Floss know that I wasn't happy with her coming on to disrupt our meeting, because it would tend to go that way and the narrative will shift. So I wanted to keep on track with what we've got on the agenda, and anybody coming onto the camera to talk should or must keep to the rules that I sent out to everybody. I think I sent to about 60 people who might be watching now or waiting for the video on what I'm about to do. These Zoom meetings will be recorded. I'm going to try and find the time to transcribe the videos into minutes. So each hui, what we call it on the marae, will be more or less a native magistrate court of New Zealand, and in Ireland's case, a native magistrate court of Ireland, because we're dealing with them on the mirror image of New Zealand from Ulster in Ireland. And for England, it has already got its own English people native magistrate court that we set up. We can do these court hearings anywhere. We don't have to be in a courthouse. We can have it in somebody's house, but it's more convenient now to be online on Zoom to get any consent or put out anything we say in public, because it's going worldwide, and people are we get a response from people who are watching the videos and sharing information on what we're trying to do here. And we've got Out of the Bag Radio in Ireland back again with Sean Maguire, and I'm happy to be back with him and Andy, back where we used to be, and when it was all going fired up. And so we're going to be slow in firing up the people here, and especially the people at Waitangi. A lot of the information I'm pouring onto Facebook is all that has been done. If you see documents with Moai Crown on it or anything I put, it means it's gone through the maraes around the country, and also the Marae, Te Tii Marae and Waitangi Marae, to get the last say on anything I do. I'm here for the Confederation of Chiefs, and so is Alfred Mitchell. And there's not many people around who can go into this depth of land titles and show the evidence of what you've been doing and follow a paper trail, because I'm following the Freemasons paper trail, where I've picked knowledge up from Mohi Manukau, and he was not going to open his mouth because he'd get a silver bullet if he leaked out anything that happened in Helensville in the lodge, the Freemasons lodge. I used to drop him off there and pick him up and take him home. And I was staying at his brother's place in Helensville on the 10-acre block that was modeled out to cut up all the big Maori blocks, Maori land blocks, into smaller 10-acre blocks, and then smaller again into house plots or 1 acre or 2 acre. So you went in stages down to selling the land as broken up. So all the titles in New Zealand came out of that Helensville Native Magistrate Court Bank in one. And I put a video up to show where the Confederation was set up in the paddock of the 10-acre block of land that I've got the titles for. So every land that I've surveyed myself with the documents, that's the first one that was set up in the bank. And then from the Awaroa, that's what Helensville used to be called, Awaroa. And then the Awaroa Bank was the courthouse where they picked the money up and to put in the bank. And then the bank went down into the BNZ in downtown Auckland. And that's where these Freemasons set up all that business from Helensville in Kaipara Harbour. And that was Ngāti Whātua was the tribe, or is still the tribe now that Mohi Manukau was amongst all of that. But no one was listening to what he's saying because they didn't like him being with his uncle, John Rogan, the judge, or he was a surveyor before that, and they didn't like him because he was running around with a Pākehā white man and a black Maori, or not Maori, native. Mohi Manukau was learning everything off the Freemasons, so that now I've got all that knowledge. I have to give it back to everybody so that I don't get a silver bullet in my head. So it's very, very sensitive. All of these things are in the Edinburgh Magistrate Court, the Land Registry Office and the Freemasons Office and the Holy Grail. It's all wrapped up there with the bank and the finance of those surveyors, the land surveyors registered office in Scotland, not in England. So we have to go to the Westminster Magistrate Court, but we go to the Edinburgh Magistrate Court first to check the records of this Manukau Land Company that was set up by the Scottish people in Helensville. And then they changed it. This government in New Zealand, the Little Crown, the corporate colonists from New South Wales, changed that name Manukau Land Company into Manukau Waitemata Land Company. And then they switched all the titles out. And that's what I've got. I've got them all in one place with the memorials, with the right memorials, with the right whakapapa, with the right line of descent into the tribes, and they were all mixed up. The Ngāti Whātua tribe that's taken over Auckland, because Mohi wanted his land back with the Methodist churches down Queen Street, and that's when I put the titles on the church to take the title off the same as Cook Street, 61 Cook Street, changed to 77 Cook Street. So I've got all those all done. Ready to put them into the court and to take those people for what I've written online, and John Key at the same time, and Helen Clark at the same time. So you'll see all their pictures on my Facebook sites. Means a picture or a video. A video is better evidence than written documents. Anything you say, they can do against you, or you can do against them. They have to prove. There's been no say against everything I say on video, even now that I state. That's a bold statement to make in front of the Crown in Westminster to tell me not to do that. You don't call yourself a Crown. No one tells. That's against the rules of Westminster and the Crown Corporation, but except Moai Crown. I'm challenging them with the Moai Crown to see what they're going to do about it. So there, that's just some sort of idea of where we're going to with the court system, all the legal documents. I've got millions of them, and I'm just throwing them all up where I got all my information from. The Waitangi early land sales, they go back to 1820, and then that's where I start from, 1823, 1820, Hongi Hika from Ngapuhi, and he and Tira Waikato Whareherehere Manukau, the real name, they changed that name as well in their New Zealand tribunal and their New Zealand treaty claims. They switched it all around. So we go back to those two chiefs that went to Cambridge University to learn how English language. So Hongi Heka wasn't interested in learning real estate and land titles and documents like that, but he was there to understand the signing of documents up in Waitai, and he was after the muskets. He was wanting power of the musket and the Ngapuhi, and this other Waikato chief from Cambridge in Hamilton. He wanted to go and learn properly how the real estate works before he put his signature down to transfer the whole of New Zealand as one title. I've got all that into the British Crown to save it from everybody stealing the damn thing. The French and everybody down the South Island, their theory was after the title, and then the British people in Australia were here. They were fighting against each other to take control and take sovereignty of New Zealand. So they don't realize that in 1820, those two chiefs at the same time, they were with King George IV. So there's a big long history that's not anywhere. No one's talking about King George IV before the Rothschild families and all those people changed the title into King George V to go to King George VI to Queen Elizabeth II. So that line, one day I'll go over it and split it all in bits. Not tonight. I'm just saying they switch in everything here in New Zealand and in Ireland into the titles. So I'm splitting all the titles in bits. They're all over the place. So a lot of people won't understand this sort of thing until you realize that your land, you are the landlord, sovereign of the land, you the owner, the customary native landowner, but the Crown of New Zealand, the little Crown, I say, is the legal landowner, the trustee, and the trustee of the Queen trustee, the Queen Victoria trustee, is the bigger Crown in England, and they take whatever the little crowns in the Commonwealth countries have to pay from the money picked up from the land leases and the taxes and everything, and send to the British Crown. So that's where we come. We don't have to go through Australia. We're going direct, straight from Waitangi, straight back, follow the flag, straight back into Westminster, into King William IV jurisdiction. And we go back further than 1840 treaty. That was done by this colonial government here to stop anybody from going back into the jurisdiction of the 1835 and any history before that set up. They didn't get anywhere until they borrowed this flag to put the 1840 treaty together. So they still usurped this flag to get themselves up and running with a found New Zealand title, and then fooled everybody to thinking that's the jurisdiction. Their flag, the Union Jack flag 1901 is the flag that's got jurisdiction. We challenged the jurisdiction in the courts in Westminster and Cambridge. I'm not Cambridge, in Edinburgh, and we challenged in both courts and go there with all this information I'm throwing out online, and check the records over there, check the registry with our delegation to go over. So we have to get them ready to go, all the expenses for hotels to stay there for the whole period of time that we're going to be doing these two court hearings in the court itself, with the records that we go and collect first in Edinburgh, the Freemasons office just opposite the court. So yeah, that doesn't prove that the government here has nothing to go on. They're only going on hearsay from the chiefs they pick to give their whakapapa or their lineage ahead of the original native of the land, like Ututonga. Ututonga is an original name. That's native. That's native from the Morioris and the Confederation of Chiefs, like Manukau. Those are two natives, real ones, with the surname. You get the surname right. When the Maori, when this government colonized the country, they set up the Maori land court and the Maori title and put it back at 1840 and 1835. All their literature, all their linguistic stuff has got Maori on it. So everybody in the world thinks the Maoris were here. And the Maoris came from the islands and the Maori came from here and there. And now they're to blame for selling all the land. And it's a mirror image of the crown itself. The little crown made an image of themselves, not the Queen. So it's the crown over here in right of New Zealand and a New Zealand company. The New Zealand company that bodged up this Manukau Land Company title that came straight from Edinburgh Magistrate Court, straight to this chief. But the Freemasons hid everything. They hid it all away. If I didn't tell you, you wouldn't know. I'm not supposed to tell anybody, but Mohi didn't tell me not to tell anybody. He just thought that it'll come out one day. And so that's why he never said anything on the marae, at Te Tii Marae, because he didn't want to let them know, because they weren't ready for this sort of application to the flag. The flag is not just for waving around. It's to do exactly what I'm doing here online, to set up trade, to take out all the debtors, and to put the court right, put the bank court right, and because it's all up to hell. As soon as King George V came in, King George IV, all his work in the Admiralty was lost to this one king who was only there for less than a year, and then switched it over into King George VI. He didn't do much in the Admiralty. He only spent a short time in taking over something that was set up by King William III. All the hard work, and King William IV, all the hard work, reforms in the Parliament Act to bring things together and set it up. So that's the whole thing I wanted to put across. And then shortly I'll go into the agenda and the rules and everything. But I think what I've got there is very important at this point in time, and people will be watching in Ireland about what's happening with their country, and you're fighting up against everything that the Crown throws at you, because there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it, because they've got it all tied up in the bank with the money, all that money going into wars, all that's coming out of this big crown, all the wealth that's going in it to the Queen, and then the Pope, he's got his finger in it because of the 8-point star of St. Patrick. He's claiming St. Patrick as his from his country, but he was born in Rome, but he died in Ireland, and that's where his title is, the gravesite. That's why I went to Ireland, Northern Ireland, to down to Patrick, to go and claim the 8-point star on and put the flag on his gravesite, and I did my prayers and things there to take back to Westminster. But we were going to finish off, Andy. We were going to finish off on the second time I went to Britain. The first time I was all right, but when I went back, that's when they stopped me from going to finish off in the St. James Park. And we signed the documents that were signed here, and so that put us together, and we were going to go into the Parliament to present it and to get the flag recognized, and so that didn't happen. You fellas did a great job to carry on without me in the paddock and to try and do something with it. But now we can finish that off properly. So that's just for people in Ireland who don't, everybody's confused, Andy, because of the way corporations work and what it's done to people. And so we're here to bring back all this to them so that they know what to do. Are you still there, Andy? Your camera's gone off.
No, I'm still here, John. No, my camera's on. The camera's on still.
Yeah, that's all right. So that's just a brief introduction, and I hope that Sean Maguire has got a better idea on what needs to be done. He's right, Andy. So I've written it into the proclamations tonight, and that he was saying, why don't Ireland go back to when the trouble started? So we backdate. I've written it up already in the resolutions or the proclamations to enforce. So he was saying, it was a good question. He was saying, why don't Ireland go back to when the king was running right? So that's King George IV. We go back to King George IV, 1820 period, and not King George V. That's where the fraud started for all the corporations from King George V. So I put it in there. I put the dates. I put the reigning monarch dates of those two kings, King George IV and V. So we go back and backdate the debtors to the crown, the Queen's crown. The Rothschilds took over the business of the crown, so the crown is still there. But we build the crown from this when the fraud started in King George V, when Sean says that he went around and murdered everybody. That's when all that racket started off. And before that, it wasn't like that with King George IV. So that's one point I've written in that I'll read out tonight, and to so that'll get him going over there, so get them fired up with following through with us and following and consenting to what we do here. We don't need a whole mob of people, a bunch of people to do this, Andy. We only need a few people that can understand the documents. And so far, I've still to get a response from the elder chiefs who were in the magistrate court with me. That's Manahi, Mauheni, up in Ngapuhi, and Hohepa, Epiha, and Wiremu, Peita. Those three are the ones I put on these documents and took to England. And so we've got Wiremu Heihei. He's another one, but he wasn't in the courthouse at the time we did these native magistrate King's Bench Court in Te Tii Marae and Waitai Marae on video, YouTube as evidence. So we got all the evidence to support a good court case against the Crown Corporation, City of London, Bank of England, private companies. So there we've got the Moai Powerhouse Bank sitting as taking a place of them and a vacant crown. We've got a vacant throne at the moment, and there are rumours that the Queen is dead. So that's what I always believe, she's already dead. And so they've got nothing to go on at the moment to talk about. They won't talk about it because the Queen put the Muslims in charge of Westminster Magistrate Court. So we still have to go past that, past those people with the Navy. So Andy, while I'm thinking about it now, I put it's supposed to be resolutions first, but I put a proclamation in with the other 23 or 26 proclamations to enforce the Navy, the British Royal Navy, to honour us and our flag and our delegation going from here, and the delegation in England to go and do what we have to do. So we'll put that in and get everybody to agree to it, online on these Zoom calls, and sooner or later, one of the elders may come on and speak from the marae online to save me going up to Waitai, because there'll be a lot of people who are negative to being called something else than Maori, to follow the Queen path to keep themselves going in what's going pear-shaped now in the system. The whole system is no good with Jacinda Ardern. So all that corruption and everything is just everywhere, even on the Marae. The Marae trustees were head up for fraud in the trustees itself. So that's another thing I've got. I've got all those things. I've been following them all along to everything they do wrong. I take documents of it and put their names and their photos there. And the whole parliament with Helen Clark was in there. I put all their photos together and with the data instrument online so everybody can see. So we have all the evidence of that, Andy. We can pull them out anytime. And they're better instruments than documents, because documents can be altered, not a video. You can't, your lips are moving and you can't change it. Once you said it, that's it. It's how Maoris work. That's how the natives work here. They only went kanohi to kanohi, face to face, no documents. That's how they did their agreements. And then the government comes along and makes them write paper. So they weren't used to, they're still not used to paperwork. They don't trust it. They don't trust it because it's changed. The whole thing is changed around by people that the Crown, the little Crown, chooses amongst the Maoris to put into Parliament so that they can get the consent straight away over and above what anybody else says. So Hapu have never had a say. So now they have a say. We can do all the talking for them and the people of New Zealand. So we didn't want to focus too much attention on the Maoris, because we're all one now, and that's what I'm trying to equal out and balance out the relationship that people here are having when the Hapu has control of everything. They've got the native title, just like the people of Aya in Ireland. They have the native title, the customary title, and once you take the certificate of title off it, the land goes back, and you got no instrument to make money out of. So we're carrying on the business of the Crown and use the same instruments. Only thing is we change the Crown, change the Crown and change who's keeping the monarchy going, and then do that all together from around the world. The people in Canada, we're going to be going with Jesse Howell. He used to be on with us for a long time, Andy, and I've always seen him posting, and he got all his posts got demolished. He lost all his Facebook sites, all his work, and so I've been lucky, Andy. I never lost any work, even though I've been in controversy. It's still all there. 83 sites. I had 110 altogether, but I let go some, and those are all got different titles. Fraud, Facebook page for all the frauds, and Facebook page for all the different land title things. Another page for the tidal energy project. So we go straight into business on mass tidal energy around the world, on what I've got there for that, and seaweeds and things in the sea and all that sort of thing. Straight away, once we get through with things, we can go to work, and everything goes in our pockets, not in the Crown Corporation elite pockets. So that's what we're doing here. We're separating the powers and putting back the power into the native. That's the people who come from the land in the first place, with their adopted people. That's the immigrants. All the immigrants who come there, that the native of the land, they adopt them, same as New Zealand. We adopt the foreigners or people who haven't got a birth certificate. and they haven't got a right to the land. We adopt them into our hapu, and not iwi, hapu. The iwi is a crown corporation construct of the colonial government in New South Wales and in Wellington, New Zealand. So we adopt those people and put them into our system using the same courthouse, same everything. All we do is change the titles on the building. Like when they had Queen Street and the Methodist Church where they set up, Manukau said that they only gave a piece of land for the church, the missionary church. Next minute, the missionary church took the whole of Queen Street. And then Manukau and his daughter used to go down Queen Street and sell things on the side of the road. And they got taken out by the council for taking the business away from the Chinese. And so I was in on that as well with the Methodist Church. I took the title of the Methodist Church with Cook Street, and then because Mohi said, I want my land back. I want my land back and where that church is. And so that's another issue that I've gone through with him. I spent a lot of time going around the countryside where all the burial sites of his tribe, the Morioris that came from Chatham Islands. That's not far away from here, and that's been taken out by somebody else. And so that's where the British came first. They went from the Cook Islands to Chatham Islands, and then Chatham Islands to here to New Zealand first. They didn't come straight here. And so all that path, I follow the paper trail backwards on the history, the right history, to put our documents right and to take the other fraudulent documents out. And so they do that in Ireland as well. They put their original documents now and follow this plan through the same way. And all the other countries with their native titles, Africa, Australia, Canada, and the Philippines, all those countries, and India, all those countries have fallen into the same thing. So we do the same model out for them before the United Nations and the Pope takes over the whole world with this New World Order thing they're going through with the WEF, the World Economic Forum, they're going through at the moment with Jacinda Ardern at the head of it all. She's at the head of everything from New Zealand to use all the instruments put together that came from England to here, and then from here to the United States. So the Treaty of Waitangi, the documents were signed here with fraudulent watermark. Taka, the British government printing press issued documents for Clendon. Clendon was the guy that did these Manukau titles that I'm doing at the East Coast where I come from, and all over the place with the native court. So we put those titles back in place and re-establish that model back to the magistrate courts in Scotland and England. So something like that needs to happen now. The sooner the better. So I won't go on anymore. I'll just go into the agenda before Alfred has a say, and see what anybody else has to say. I got one of my other mobile phones just in case it goes off again. If anything, if I get taken out again, it's just that they're playing around with my phones. The last time when I first came on with you, last time with Sean Maguire, I couldn't get on because the phone was blocked and I couldn't get in. So let's hope we have a straight run tonight. I'll just go to the agenda now, the rules and everything, and then I'll go into the main part, which is more or less the resolutions that we hold for now and talk about before we pass them and get the tick to add to the documents. All the documents are done, Andy. That's what I took in my suitcase when I went to Britain. So we didn't have to go over anything. I'm just highlighting extra things that we're going to add to it and amend what we did in the first place. So everything's been approved by Te Tii Marae and Waitangi Marae. So all we're doing is checking with them again to just update them on our next move with them in mind, because I want them involved with everything I do for the Confederation. So I'm taking Mohi Manukau's place title as successor to his documents and his inheritance to the Freemasons titles on anything financial, anything set up that he did with the Freemasons, and registered the Manukau Land Company in Edinburgh, Scotland, with the Freemasons. So everything was done like that. I can speak for him from the Freemason side and from the Paramount chief side, because with Mohi Manukau, he's the fourth in line. So generation, Mohi Te Mati Manukau, the first, the second, the third, and the fourth. So he's gone through a few years that covers right back past 1820, back to Chatham Island. The people on Chatham Island, the Moriori, used to come over because they came here for food and nothing else. They had the whole place to themselves. And that's the history that the British have got. So I just checked with the British to make sure those titles, one title to the whole country outright, and anything that can go against it. Like I'm saying, the Crown will have a problem because I'm calling it my Crown versus the Crown, and so that's something to go on. They can't refute it. They can't say anything against it, because you can see I put the Moai online on my page. They've been digging out. All these corporations, these bad fellows, have dug out all the Moai, and so they can see what's underneath it, what's in it. And they read the back of the Moai, it's got the secret. Only those people, the indigenous people, know what it means. And so the Crown Queen Victoria took that Moai to England, and then they used whatever they got from whoever interpreted the meaning of it. I'll get it when I go to East Island. I haven't been there yet, but I'll sure know what I'm doing when I go there as an original Wānoa tribe of Raiatea Island, and the Wā meaning the beginning of time and space, and Noa, the law, Lore, tikanga law, in Raiatea Marae, Tapu Tapu Raiatea Marae. That's where my family came from, in Tahiti, and that's what I'm going on, my own bloodline to those Moais. And I see now online, one Moai's gone back, I think it's from Russia, returned the Moai, and at this stage, I did want the Moai in England to stay there. In the City of London has captured it in their own country and government. The City of London, Rothschilds, have their own government, their own country in the 600 square acres of land in the middle of England. And so we've got that to go up against, and a whole lot of things I'm saying, Andy, that we can go to the cows come home talking about it. But now once everybody knows, the penny will drop, and they'll fire up themselves again where we were, Andy. So I'm going to go to my page now. My eyes are, and the things are small, so I haven't got a big screen where I can see what I'm reading. So I'm going to just start from here. I'm going to read it through. We invite elders and descendants from Ngapuhi Te Tii Marae and northern region up to Hauraki to the flag signing, and all the Hapu of elders throughout New Zealand, and anyone born in New Zealand to participate in these online hui, and must stand outside the New Zealand Crown Corporation government system, iwi trustees and Maori organisations, and political links to New Zealand Government Crown Corporation, and step into the British Crown Corporation system under King William III, King George IV, King William IV, and Hapu throughout New Zealand, operating under the British Crown system laws as it was at 1689 King William III of Orange to 1823, King George IV and Paramount Chief Tira Waikato Whareherehere Manukau of Pohara Marae Maungataitari Mountain, Cambridge, to the 20th of March 1834, 20th of October 1835, King William IV and 35 chiefs at Kororareka, Russell, Bay of Islands, to 6th of May today and to 2022 onwards, beyond, and join in with us too, with Manahi Mauheni. He's the elder at Waitangi in Ngapuhi. Wiremu Peita, that's another elder. Wiremu Heihei and Hohepa Epiha, Heihei, Bundy, Waitai. Those are ones that I'm familiar with, that being around these documents that went to Westminster. So we're answerable to those elders, although I'm older than one or two of them. So we respect them because they're there on the marae talking with the taumata. And so I hope they're not offended by what I say, but I have to stay down this track to save everyone around the world and everyone in New Zealand from being done out ever again. The meeting is about, my eyes are nothing, about legalising our 1835 Declaration of Independence flag inside Westminster Parliament and Westminster Magistrate Court in what's this place again? Edinburgh and in Westminster itself, city, Westminster City, in 2022. So we aim to do these tasks before the year is out, to use as it was given by King William IV for commercial trade, banking, and self-government as the legitimate founding flag jurisdiction over New Zealand, as we are already to use it now in 2022. So we shall keep to the commercial trading bank business of our flag with New Zealand registered company called Ngapuhi Te Tii Marae Limited as a national Hapu and King's People Corporation to take to Westminster with a delegation of people, 6 people. So I've got those in the proclamations we made to use that company and my Powerhouse Group Limited company that we all signed to in that Supreme Court in Westminster. So these are all legal instruments, legitimate as well. So we can use them again. We will not allow talk on Queen Elizabeth II and Queen Victoria, as this is about kings only and conflicts our Declaration of Independence flag jurisdictions. We invite all races of people registered and born in New Zealand as native to join. So that means they're adopted into the Hapu, or they come in under someone in the area of the land that they live in and come through the incorporations. The Tikanga Law Society will handle that because they've got the document from Westminster, Mepedia, Hohepa Mepedia, 1994 amended acts of the 1993 Act supersedes the 93 Act. And so that's put back in place so they can carry on their corporate business. So we're all going corporate business as we should be under that flag. Minutes of the last hui to be transcribed from this video tonight on Saturday, or that was Saturday, April 22. I've still got to do that at 6 p.m. to 2:25 a.m. Sunday, May 2022. 12 in the last Zoom attendance. Andrew, a divine latest update agenda for Zoom meeting for today. So we're just updating the minutes at the moment first before we dive into the hui of a court as well. So there, we start with minutes to catch up from the last minutes to put on to the next minute. Somebody should be doing this, but I'll do it all myself because I'm used to it. And someone can take over the minutes because it takes a long time, a lot of time to transcribe it from the video and write it all up and then type it all up. So I've got to do all that, to keep up with the huis. My topic title, Confederation. The topic is Confederation Flag of New Zealand Jurisdiction. That means to put the power back in it so we can carry on business. I decide this with the exception that we will only stick to the agenda for anyone who wants to speak and who has experience in these matters. And we don't want anyone who can't represent the Hapu, the Europeans, and naturalized people, New Zealanders, is for everyone who knows what's in the agenda and can be on the executive here at home and the executive going away to Britain to go to Westminster Court and Parliament with the flag for New Zealand and its Commonwealth countries, totaling 250 countries in the world that we're doing. There's 193 countries that the Pope is taking a hold of in the United Nations as the owner, the legal owner of their armies in those 193 countries. So we've gone to 250. I did my research on that as being some of the countries that they took their sovereignty away from that are still countries inhabited by people that want their country back. So we give their countries back, and it adds up to 250 countries altogether. Raise your hand in the meeting if you fit this criteria. If not, you will be muted, as we have a short time to choose 6 people and organize registered company, corporation, business, administration of people operating from home for now, and people to go to Westminster to save our country and other countries that will follow our self-government precedent case against the New World Order, the EU, Parliament, NATO, United Nations takeover of their countries after taking over us first as their model native customary land guinea pigs. And we must stop the Waitangi Marae iwi trustees and government crown and Maori people and corporations from usurping our Hapu Confederation of Chiefs flag, the 1835 Declaration of Independence flag. They've been usurping, so we're going to legislate that, or not so much legislate, but proclaim, enforce right away with the Navy. So we use the Navy to enforce these documents that we have to put through the court hearing online. We set up our court hearings here online before we go to Britain, so that it's a quick job. We don't have to go over everything so much. We just need to visit and get the signature and the authority from the government to force this government here to follow what we do and to dislodge their power over us. That means to what do you call it? Just to take their power away anyway, something like that. Where am I? Take over and the Waitangi Marae iwi trustees and government crown and Maori people corporations from usurping the flag, and because they have their own New Zealand flag, 1902 flag, Union Jack flag, and 1986 Constitution and land title transfer memorials, while we have the collective Hapu and native customary land title, legal and allodial legitimate ownership title, and memorials, doctrines of discovery title, to challenge theirs in Westminster Magistrate Court and Parliament. So that's that part. Now we go into the rules. I say the rules every time so that people who don't read them when I put them online and send it to them, to read the rules first before coming on. So the rules of the meeting, we won't allow discussions in churches, religion, Satan's or God, Queen Elizabeth II, Queen Victoria, whakapapa, tikanga law, Maori, iwi, arguments and games, emotions, 1840 treaty or claims, distractions from the agenda, host and me, foul language and abuse, racism and offensive remarks about us and the agenda. 16, bringing in groups of stirrers, or that I can tell will get a mute button. Cake Floss, I've just got your name down there, and the group talking about the Queen for a long time in the first Zoom meeting is all on record. All what you said is on record as being on that side of the Queen's. What we're alleging is corruption and fraud. So you fall into that side, and it's a conflict if you come on with us, and when we're doing these things against your Queen, who hasn't even got a coronation on the throne. So that puts that part right about that. That's the only part that I was worried about with you, Andy, before I started this hui, that we wanted to clear that matter up for anybody else who's coming on to try and change what we have in plan. The proclamations and declarations. I'm going to read the proclamations and declarations, which usually starts in a parliament with resolutions to pass first in parliament. We're going straight past parliament. We're going straight into a federal state government, a straight government without parliament or anybody having any say on any matter. As a federal state government, you've got Australia got a federal state government straight to the Queen, and you've got Commonwealth government of Australia, another arm of the oligarchs and the elite people who run the Commonwealth government, and you've got the state government, which is subservient to the Crown Corporation and federal state government. So the same thing in America. They got federal state government and Congress that overrides everything else. So we're following what the people at the top do in this hui, right across the world, not just here, right across the world. So we're modeling ourselves out with Ireland and our whakapapa to Ireland, or our genealogy links to King William III of Orange and his acts of parliament, and enforce those acts right on our date that we agreed to. I've written it all up so I can read it out. Number 2, enforce the new succession confederation, successor confederation of chiefs of I can't see, Aotea, UK and New Zealand. Aotea, I haven't got Aotearoa because the Crown here, colonial Crown, uses Aotearoa on their documents. So we go back to the original Aotea, Great Barrier Island, Aotea downtown Auckland, Aotea is there, Aotea down in South Island, in Nelson, around that, but Aotea there. So I'm following the Manukau history down the South Island. All these tupunas, the Paraparas and the Manukau's, those two indigenous surnames are stuck to these documents I do. I use every surname that has a straight bloodline like a king. So anybody with a straight bloodline to those natives that came from Tahiti, Hawaii, Samoa, and all the rest of it, they follow a bloodline on the not on the female side of Queen Victoria, but on the male side. So Salic law in France forbids women to the throne. That they took the wealth out of the king's hard work and used it for scam for themselves and their families, the 300 royal families of the Rothschild, which is on the list here too. Number 3, dissolve the New Zealand 1902 flag jurisdiction. Number 4, I can't see properly. Enforce and reinstate the 1835 Declaration flag of New Zealand jurisdiction as an independent sovereign nation, as it was. So, number 5, enforce New Zealand as a federal sovereign government nation with our Republican flag. The Maori government been trying to do that with Sunakura for a long few years, and I was in that Maori government, but it didn't. She was trying to use the Confederation at the same time but Mohi Manukau had nothing of it. He wouldn't go near it and said nothing. So that's why she got sung off the Marae, Te Tii Marae, because they didn't like her to speak there, which was unfortunate for Ngāti Pro, that she didn't get the Maori government across the line. So that's why I can't support the Maori government or anything Maori here, because they come under this colonial crown system and have to follow their government initiatives. And because they're in partnership, they want to go 50-50 partnership in the government right now with the Maoris in government and co-govern New Zealand through the United Nations and take all the power from us. And we have nothing as a hapu, we have nothing. And so they're legislating that through Parliament right now. And I'm going right in the front of them to put these acts right in front with their photos there. They can't touch those photos or videos I make of them, Andy. Would you be surprised that they haven't sued me or anything, because I got nothing anyway. But the documents or the videos are better than documents, because you what comes out of your mouth is tika, is the law if no one says anything. In kanohi to kanohi, face to face, if nobody says nothing, Andy, you can pass it as being the true statement that you make verbally. So courts use verbal videos now from prison, and we use the same thing. They don't have to go to court, so we don't have to go to the marae, to the court. We do it online in the comforts of our own home. So number 7, enforce the UK Crown dissolving New Zealand pretended government and Parliament from Westminster Magistrate Court or Supreme Court and Westminster Parliament. So we have to go through that in order to get our government dissolved. If the government says so, because the Queen is not there to give consent, she's gone. She's abandoned Maori, her Maori people. She's abandoned the throne, and she cannot go back to the throne because she's old or dead already. And the whole documents are put out. Anything under the crown with Queen Elizabeth's head on it or her name is null and void, because she's not on the throne to look after the crown, the big crown. That's a Moai crown that's sitting there ready to snap the whole lot off them if they don't say anything or do anything about it, with us online, with the whole world watching as witness. They are a witness. The people online watching these videos is a witness. Number 8, enforce King William III Acts of Westminster Parliament, 1689. That's the time of King William III, and 1694 Bank of England Act. So we hinge everything around where the money is and the wealth that's come out of the land. And so we do that. To 1703, King George IV Acts of Westminster Parliament, to King William IV Acts of Westminster Parliament, to 1880 to 1887 Acts enforced and applicable to Moai Crown, unregistered, and Ngātue Wā Aotea Limited registered in the company's house in London. So we're a registered company there as a corporate of the Moai Crown, the Crown versus the Crown. So we got that, and a company to take the company out, to take any corporate company out. One shot, registered, and Moai Powerhouse Bank unregistered, and Moai Crown in right of New Zealand, UK unregistered, joint corporation business in New Zealand on judgment creditors versus Queen in right of New Zealand, Crown, City of London, Washington, DC, Vatican City, corporations and other international corporations as judgment debtors. Now that's number 8, enforce the acts of Parliament on our documents that we already finished anyway. We've already put them in. We don't have to do much, but amend them to put some more action to cover what we haven't the first time I went to England. And those documents are in the big books one day I'll show them on to you in front of you. But those books that I got signed on Waitai Marae and Marae's all over the place, legal instruments. They're legal instruments that we take back to England and to add these other acts here to it. So, oh, who's ringing? Hang on, I'll pick it off. That's Eddie ringing right in the middle. Ah. Hang on, people. I've got a call coming in. Now, I'm trying to switch it off. Oh, there we go. I got my phone back because I'm reading off the phone and the phone comes right across the top of it. Okay, so that's enforced. I'm enforcing these things online so that when we get the consent from these elders on the marae for those documents already, they'll pass it. And so we get that all done with them. And Manahi Mauheni is already watching as well. And he doesn't have to come on. They don't have to come on and talk. They know what I'm doing. They just sit and listen to what's changed. And they're still waiting for me to come back from Westminster with the goodies. And I got to go there and come back to the taumata, report back to them on the marae, where the treaty was signed, where the 1835 Declaration of Independence was signed on the flag, and report back to them with good news. So we're getting there. So that's where did I get up? I can't see properly. Enforce King George IV's Crown Purchaser and Chief Tira Waikato Whareherehere Manukau of the Maungataitari Paapaa and Memorial Rock Land Title Transfer seller, he's the seller and the buyer of New Zealand country, that's the whole country, as a native landlord of Pohara Marae in Arapuni, Cambridge, Waikato district. The original name of the marae was changed by iwi Maori from the original Puponga Marae. So they've changed all the marae's names, and so we just changed them back, put them back where they were in the first place, and put the history right. The history is changed around to suit themselves. My father-in-law, Peita Mihinui, family house was next to the Puponga Marae memorial stone, but the iwi Maori moved the house and fenced the rock off for their title. I challenged them, and I have videos and history of that too, from the Paramount Chief Mohi Te Mati Manukau, the fourth. So I've got all that on video of what happened at that marae that my family was going to all the time. Number 10, enforce dirty. That's where my wife came from, my father-in-law. So that's why I know a lot of history in the Cambridge area, because I spent a lot of time there going over the titles with Mohi Manukau and those chiefs, George Connolly. I've spent a lot of time with him and Mohi arguing to each other, the Manukau versus the Manukau of Waikato versus the Manukau up in the Kaipara. And so you've got the two clashes going on that I had to sort out and find Marama Manukau. She's from down in the Waikato area. And so, but her family is not even online. There's no Manukau. There's no Manukau anywhere for me to talk to. And so the thing with what I'm doing, people, is that this is commercial business with the Freemasons. It's nothing to do with their family. That's why Mohi Manukau kept the family right out, because it was Freemasons, shut your mouth, say nothing, business. And so he gave it to me. So I gave it to everybody else. That I'm not supposed to do that, but I wasn't told by the Freemasons not to do it. When I went to the funeral of Mohi Manukau, they were all there looking at me when I got up and said a speech at the funeral, but they didn't do anything about what I was saying. So that's good. But it's a good thing in the end that Donald Trump wants to save Britain and go back to Scotland, because he doesn't want to lose all his real estate, golf courses and all the rest of it that he's accumulated. And so he went to England to talk to Queen about Scotland. And so there I jump in with the land titles for Scotland for the whole world, and including Trump's real estates as well. to come under these acts, that we can inquire into anybody's corporate business and see where they got the authority and the land transfer. A lot of land got transferred, even up north. I'm talking to Paulina, friend of Paulina, what's his name? No, the fellow I was talking to, Ventura. So I left some things online that I was doing her land titles where this flag was signed by 12 chiefs on that Tingaire, Matari Bay around the corner. So I've got all the history on that from her and her Ngapuhi husband. All her land was taken, all his land was taken and taken off him by these people. So I got all those land titles and Matari Bay and Hui with Hohepa, Epiha from the Marae there. I'll just forget what the name of the Marae is. So I've got all that history put together to go back into that where that chief signed the document, the letter to King William IV. I'll start from there and then go into the 1834 chiefs that signed the documents and stick to that, not the extra chiefs that signed in later on in two years later, not those chiefs, because that's when it got bastardized, the document, the 1834, 35 chiefs. Those are the ones I'm going on. I'm putting these statements out in these proclamations to put the record straight that their additions from 1830 from the 28th of October 1835, and they were still signing chiefs all over the place after that. In 1839, they were still signing more chiefs onto a document that was already signed, and so that's that we're writing that off. We're legislating that thing out. So there. That's puts all this is online. I've been through the Marae. I just forget the Marae of Hohepa, Epiha now. I should know, but I can't think right now. I might think later on. So number 10, enforce the dirty money in United Nations and Washington, D.C., and the dirty crown money in the City of London, private corporation government of London, not Westminster, Britain, UK, and dirty money in the Vatican combined corporations as Maui Crown, Maui Powerhouse Bank creditors, with the Maui Pound note money legal instrument originated from King Tawhio of Waikato. So we're using that instrument to force these corporations into the court and put writ warrants. I put writ warrants out on Cook Street, but I never went back to apply the writ warrant because I thought I'd get to England first before I do that, so we can wrap the whole lot one hit. Number 11, enforce our original King Tawhio Te Piki or Aotearoa Bank of New Zealand and original King Tawhio pound note as our amended Maui pound note, cash currency inherited by us, so we shall immediately print it against the Crown Treasury account in New Zealand and Britain, UK, and then throughout the world, where our Queen Victoria Trust 1844 money, gold, investment, trading bank business has gone into the United Nations and World Bank and Vatican as our legal tender money, paper money, debtor instruments against all corporations who enforce King William III, King George IV, King William IV Acts of Westminster Parliament using Admiralty law of the sea for martial law, capturing countries and people for bank loans and mortgages and human genocide, extermination and crime of church and state. We charge now against their warm body, that's warm body, live person, and their entire assets. So there, we put them in front, like what Sean Maguire was saying. We go back and put these people's names. You'll see my yellow vest that I put with their names and photos of all those people who were in trying to get Westminster close down and go into the EU Parliament to take over. And Gordon Brown did that. He started the Lisbon Treaty off with the Queen. Those two culprits that I'm after on this yellow jacket, Gordon Brown was responsible for putting our British entity into the EU Parliament, and I got all the documents writing to them and putting things on them. Now we can do it. We can do it together of how they use the European Union through the Hague, the World Court, to try and overpower the courts of England. But when they came to the magistrate court, they got shut down. Good job. So there, that's what I saw. I warned them. I warned them what they're doing, to Britain to break our Confederation of Chiefs flag and kings to king that made all the wealth that they usurped the Admiralty laws to put the martial law of that flag all over the lands to seize it off the native people. That's how they did it. The king gave it for us to use for him for good purposes, not what they did to put any law they want under martial law. That's what they put. That's why I'm following what they did to enforce the COVID laws in New Zealand and all over the world. They used their flag, that's for sure. They went through the Queen, they went through the Maoris first. The Maoris gave consent at Waitangi for the Queen to use it as her people. The Maori people are her tribe. That's her homemade tribe. It belongs to her, the whole thing. Everything Maori belongs to the Queen, Elizabeth and Queen Victoria. So there, we go back and bill her for all that she and her agents, we are the principal. We are the principal, not the agents. They're the crown agents. So I'm acting as principal with the Confederation of Chiefs, with the principal King of Britain, UK, back in the flag's jurisdiction. If the Queen does not abdicate from the throne, it defaults back. So we put in a force act on the Navy to put who we want on the throne. So there is King Ernest Augustus V, who's living in London. He's 68 now, and he's the bloodline. He's the right bloodline from King George IV, not King George V, King George IV. He's the first in line from taking over from this point in time that we put through as well for our resolutions or proclamations. Number 13, enforce. Oh, hang on, I'll see if I've been through that one. Oh, yeah, we've done that. Number 12, enforce and create our own land title transfer certificates and original superior Maui and native chiefs Waikato of Manukau memorials to take to Westminster Magistrate Court to legislate and enforce into our law over the country one shot. Number 13, enforce authority and prepare a delegation to go to Westminster and Scotland Yard, Scotland Land Registry of Manukau Land Title Certificates and the Manukau Company. Retrieval, because the Scots put that together. They put the Manukau Land Company together, direct from Scotland, with this chief. Retrieval and identification of me as legal proof of claims to the land title memorials I hold as abdication from Ngapuhi Te Tii Marae, fourth Paramount Chief Freemason, and no one else, not even his family, claim to succeed to the Crown financial instruments, transfer title documents that he gave to me, and all that experience, and signed it. I've got the documents in those books I took. He signed it for me to go to Westminster. Enforce, number 14, enforce authority of Ngapuhi Te Tii Marae, fourth, who entrusted to me his signature on documents to act as his legal advocate and title holder of New Zealand country as his Confederation of Chiefs United Tribes trustee, landlord, and surrogate King William III, King George IV, King Ernest Augustus I, King William IV and King Ernest Augustus V, while he's not a king of Britain yet, but he's a king of Hanover. And the Queen Victoria legislated him out with the Rothschilds, legislated King Ernest Augustus the first out. And so that's the problem I've got with them. And mandated and signed by Chief Kingi Taurua. So Kingi Taurua on Te Tii Marae in front of the Hapu Rangatira, who didn't understand me what Mohi Te Manukau, fourth president of the Confederation, instructed me to do, dated legally effective and binding on the British Crown today, 6th of May 2022, witness in this online Zoom Hui meeting and video and transcribed minutes. Number 15, enforce, I'm getting there. Now, enforce these declarations, proclamations, and claims as made public worldwide and final and made into law that is attached to King William IV's successor, King Ernest Augustus V and Maui Crown. 16, enforce the Manukau native customary land titles to King George IV and Paramount Chief Tira Waikato Whareherehere in Manukau, 1823, locked there. Transfer for Pukikoi and Waikato that makes the land title memorials to iwi can't refute. Iwi can't refute. So Clendon was responsible for these land title deeds at Okiato in the Bay of Islands, Russell, and Auckland, and the East Coast where I come from, Te Araroa, Gisborne area. So he was responsible for the land transfers in the old titles, the old titles, 1820 titles that the Crown won't go to. They won't let anybody go and claim their claims only from their researchers. There's nobody that can research what I do online here, Andy, because they can't go this deep to get all the information as a researcher. So anybody watching this and everything I put up will be researchers and pick their brains of it and for their own application of it when we pass these things. So there. 16, I've got enforced the Manukau native titles, I said that. And for 61 Cook Street, Auckland, we will be in a case in Westminster Magistrate Court as well. So all the land that I've been to, right up north in the Marae, I went up to, and up right North Cape. I went up there with who was it? Somebody went with me. I forget now. But we went up there. Bundy Waitai. He's elder. That's on the on our native magistrate court. So I went up and did Hui's up there with him, and Manahi Mauheni. I think he was there too as well. So there's a trail. We've got a trail, paper trail, following behind all the things I do, and the Auckland boundary area. Old titles covering East Coast to Hawke's Bay. I just put those on my Facebook site. So I've just pulled them out of my 83 pages on Facebook and just chucked them there so we can talk about it at any time, and people can look at it and read the documents of what the government put together as treaty claims. And Waitangi Utatonga title to the Bay of Islands. There's a one title right at the whole Bay of Islands. I'm holding on to that title from Hare Utatonga. He was in the Confederation with Mohi Manukau and myself and Alfred Mitchell as well. So there, that takes back the land underneath the marae of the Waitangi marae that Kingi Taurua wanted me. That's why we went into that marae and had a hui, because he wanted the whole place back. So yeah, so Alfred's whakapapa's into that family as well. So we've got all those. I have to go to the East Coast, and he'll take me down there with thing Maine, and pick them up and bring them back, so I can and my computer as well. So I'm working off a mobile. I'm doing everything off a mobile at the moment. So Cook Street and Parapara and Manukau titles to the South Island and Chatham Islands. I bought Ross Kawharu, the real Kawharu, from the Marae in Nelson and Derville Island. I bought him and I ropu up to Manirewa Marae, and we got kicked off the Marae at the airport, the Tainui Marae, because when they knew what I was doing, then they stopped us from going there. So Manirewa Marae is like Ngāti Pro. They let us in when there was a funeral going on. So we had our hui for Mohi Manukau and Ross Kawharu, who came up to claim One Tree Hill and the Kawharu, the giant plaque and memorial to the whole of Auckland and the Waikato and all the places you can, as far as the eye can see. And so we did the unveiling with Mohi Manukau and three Aniru, oh, I forget his name now, three apotoros or ratana ministers to our documents and the Manukau title and the Kawharu of the giant. He comes from the Nahere, is his father in Raglan, in Whaingaro Marae, up the back of Raglan. And we went there, me and Mohi went there. He pointed out all these places and the burial sites all over the country with me in my car. And so to just put things on the record, I got all those things as well to take to Scotland, and we'll title her and claim the whole thing. Number Parapara and Manukau enforce the Tawhio pound note to Moai pound notes. So we're making these proclamations. 18, enforce the pound notes printing machine, license to print money. So they can't stop us from printing the pound note and the original Tawhio pound note. And I've got all those pound notes all over the place on my Facebook sites. And so enforce, number 18, enforce the pound note printing machine, a license to print money. Number 19, enforce and seize of all the original Rapa Nui Moai memorial statues used as legal land transfer titles and certificates. Seize, I can't see. Crown seize possessions and assets, gold stored in London, New Zealand, America, France, Chile, and wherever Moai are standing as powerful wealth generating countries in the world as our stolen Moai and wealth bank property. So that's another one. Enforce, number 20, enforce and seizure of stolen sundial obelisks used by the Vatican City and British City of London and Washington, D.C.'s private corporations as financial investment memorial land title instruments on their bank documents, their dollar bills, to make money from the stolen obelisks from Africa. That's the obelisks come from Africa. God said to put them there, not in the Vatican, not in London, not in all the places the Queen put them. And the Moai, he said, build the Moai in the face of me here. And what the Queen do? Queen Victoria do? Cart that off to England to claim Moai deep in the ground. You see the picture I put on there of the Moai buried deep into his earth as his title and his ahu whenua, which what we call tikanga law, is his ahu whenua trust or whatever trust title. And so we claim those memorials back to their native people and all the other memorials that come from other native countries. When I say native countries, it's the memorials stolen from Ireland as native people of Ira, not Ireland. That's a corporate name. Ireland and Israel is a corporate name. It's been corporatized for money. It's not the original name. So we put all the original names back and put all the titles, the certificates with your name on it, as you're going to collect the rent off the land for you and not for the Crown in England. And so that's something of that one. That's number 22, enforce, we're getting it, just about there. Enforce free passage for me and my team of 6 chiefs to enter into England, Scotland Land Records Register in Scotland and Ireland, St. Patrick's Memorial, and to enter Westminster Magistrate Court and Parliament as a native surrogate King William IV, chief with our British partners and New Zealand partners delegation on trading bank business under King William IV flag jurisdiction and constitution. That means when we get there, we're all going to stay in the same hotel, and then we travel to Scotland to the land registry deeds, and then we go into Westminster Parliament. So everything's around. We're staying in Parliament City, close, and Piccadilly is somewhere where I was going to stay, and have everything there under corporate pound note, pay for everything and all that sort of thing. We get everything going through. We're not forgetting the Navy. We have to enforce them to put that Admiralty back to us to enforce on the Queen's Crown using Vice Admiral. They use Vice Admiral, not straight Admiral of the King. See, so that's another thing they can't do that we can. And we're the straight Crown. And, number 23, enforce the King William IV Confederation of Chiefs of the United Tribes flag into law, online, Zoom, Hui meetings, native King's Bench Magistrate Court. So there, we do this, set this all up on our own land, get our backyard right first before we go to Britain. Make sure we understand what business is, what corporations do, and act as though we are the corporation already, and take control of the Crown, we're the big Crown, and so forth. Enforce crowdfunding worldwide for my Crown, so the trolls don't go and upset us up like they did to me and Andy while I was there raising funds, and they said it was a scam, and then the police, when they thing me at the airport, they put that down as one of the things that have stopped me from going into the country, is these trolls set up that I was making millions of dollars, and I'm on a pension, and I relied on our people there to pay for me to stay and put me up. David Ellis and put the money up for me. He bought my computer, laptops and everything, the hard drives and everything, new ones. It cost a bit of money, and so he was going to fund me and put me up in the house. And also, John Patterson was at the meeting as well with us, and he was in the Navy. He's in the Navy he was the contact to the Navy. They shut him down so that he won't open his mouth at our court hearing to wrote to the Navy to give us the authority to use the flag then. And so we got to go through that again, and hopefully we can get John Patterson out of mental hospital where I was in one of those, as well as being sectioned off because you open your mouth and say too much. Right, that's the funding. We set up the funding online with somebody on the website, on the home crew, and we're going together as one, the British people with us in the same organization. So when we go there, we're one. We're one. Their people came here, and so we're attracting the people who are immigrated here from Britain as first in line to say something on these huis, so that it's not one-way Maori completely, where it was in the first place. When the Confederation of Chiefs set everything up, it was only for the native chiefs and their Hapu families, nobody else. It was between them. When those 12 signed at Waitai, they signed for their own people first, the Hapu. And then when it went to the 34 chiefs that signed the flag, it was for everybody. That if you read through who they were there for, but because people like Henry, the researcher here, changed all the history and the words in the document. The document is a constitution. The 1835 is the constitution. They changed it. They altered it, and that fellow Henry, the researcher, changed it, and Hugh Carflow changed. All those professors who know a lot, changed everything so that they can keep their power going. So they'll be afraid of you people now that you know of what they're up facing now. at this time. So, so that's the funding. A delegation traveling to Westminster and delegation meeting in Westminster City and a hotel accommodation, both corporations in one place for 1 month or longer, plus expenses depending on the court hearing and the Parliament visit time for time frames. So there, that's all the proclamations we put up ahead for this hui as to talk about. You can pick on any of those things to talk about. People who are online now on the Zoom with me and Andy. Alfred will have his talk afterwards to back up anything. People going to Westminster, England, what do you want now? That's what Hemi Takimona said the last time. That's the question he asked that I didn't have too much answers for. So I have the list here. By the way, the Takimonas, I've got their history on the TB3 block of who should be there as the mana whenua. It's gone around back to front now. And the Takimonas and the Utatongas, those people should have been on the Paapaa. But I'm saying that because I know how the system works on maraes and who speaks and who should not speak. And so there, that he was the right fella to speak and tell us what to and direct us here from the marae and the elders on what we do online here. So that's good to have him. He doesn't want to be involved because I think he has a job with the Crown. So that's okay. He can change anytime he likes and change over when he sees something happening. And they all jump ship as we progress and it starts to uncover. So there, he's my first choice to be on the executive of 6 people to go to Westminster. But then there could be someone amongst you. It could be a woman. It could be a man of any race, as long as you know what you're doing. That's the main thing. So long as you know what you're doing. If you know how to type right, fast, and keep up with us, and organize everything, and do a lot of jobs all at once, that'll be a help. That'll be a very much help. So there, the living expenses away. I'm answering to Hemi from the last minutes. I'm answering. Number 2, living expenses away. Traveling expenses, number 3, traveling expenses to UK, England, and Scotland. Number 4, Westminster Magistrate Court costs. Number 5, laptops, stationery, etc. Number 6, spending money. Number 7, hotels and food, etc. So that's what I thought that is needed, that should answer his question, apart from anything else anybody wants to say afterwards when I'm being through. I'm just about finished now. I warn you that you will be muted or removed, or if you're not experienced, I've been through that. The original elders come first, always, in these meetings from now on, as if we are Te Tii Marae, as if we're there. But the thing was, people got different agendas to talk about, and it clouded over everything Nuki Woolridge said as a whakamininga. Couldn't get her off the ground because everybody was talking above each other and racing. I used to race for the floor to be the first before Peita Apiata shuts the hui down and it's gone. You have to come back another year later to have a talk again. But we can't afford that now. This is modern. That's why we do it electronically now and take the message back to them. That's all they need. They need the message and someone to read this out to them, or they can read it like Manahi Mauheni. He can read perfect English, and Willie Peita and Wiremu Heihei. I'm sure they can read plain English from these minutes I send them, these documents I send them to everybody who I choose to come online to speak. So don't be afraid to speak. If you've got something to say, that's fine, but in your own way, and so we'll give you time for that. Name of meeting. Now I've said that agenda from the last week. So then we've done that. So there, Andy, I think I've done my dash for now. That's all I wanted to put was those more or less resolutions turned into more or less proclamations and petition to go to Parliament to put King Ernest Augustus V back on the throne while it's empty, and keep our British New Zealand relationship going, and the threat of outside forces and the money they've stolen from this Admiralty away from us. That black line on that flag is a protectorate of the British Navy to stop anybody from interfering with our business. There, that solves that easy problem. So now I'm going to hand over to yourself. Oh, he's not. You right? You want to open the floor?
No, you're doing well, John.
Oh, okay. So,
Because I'm not very well.
Oh, okay.
I'm not very well.
Yeah, so there, we're going back to square one on land titles. I've identified certain titles at Waikato. That was the magistrate court was set up, and the government first time in New Zealand was Waikato officially from Britain, and that shifted off to Helensville, and then that became the new Auckland from there with the right Kafaru, not Hu Kafaru, not that family that put all this Ngāti Whātua tribe together that belongs to the Crown, the Little Crown, in Wellington. That's separate from the Crown of England, of Britain. No, she's the king. Queen Elizabeth is the Queen of England, not Britain. Not Britain. You get that one right. She's not the Queen of Britain. And to get your documents right, otherwise you're in trouble. That's where the wealth has gone into the British Crown, UK King, not Queen Elizabeth II, which is what Australia, New Zealand, and Canada are doing with their documents. So there, we're going to polish our documents up. So perfected title, that's what you call it in real estate terms. Perfected title cannot be challenged with memorials to go. We've got a Moai statue for memorial. We've got this Parliament. You'll see a carving that I put online beside Mohi Manukau. He was wanting to put that into Te Tii Marae as the four tribes, the four main tribes. I think it was Arawa, Ngapuhi, Waikato, and Aotea. So those I've written it on the plaque. That's his memorial to the Confederation of Chiefs. That very wooden memorial. The Manukau families have still got it. Rita Manukau has got it in Helensville. So one day it will come out and go and form your own parliament. And that's why Mohi Manukau wanted me to put the parliament up in Cornwallis on his Manukau land and in the park, and put parliament over there. I drew everything up for it, the land and everything. I got the titles out for that. But then again, the Crown and Hu Kafaru, we had native court hearings in Tuanga Marae at the bottom of the One Tree Hill in Epsom to take on John Key and Ngāti Whātua. And the people with the cross claims, because I was doing Mohi Manukau's treaty claim, and then I was doing my own treaty claim down the East Coast at the same time. And so that's why I got a lot of information from the Church of England in Tikitiki and Rangitukia, where the first birth certificates were done in the 1820 period. So this is going right past the Corporation Crown in Wellington. They can't do this. They cannot put themselves back in time with their documents. They can only go from 1840 and this flag, as where did they find New Zealand from after it got found, and they can't prove anything beyond 1840. That's why they chop your treaty claims off, and you can't talk about anything except Mohi Manukau and his claim. We went to the office of the treaty settlements with Rachel Holbrook, and she couldn't answer us, and so they got rid of her. They sacked her after that because she couldn't stop Mohi Manukau and his claim before 1840 with the 1835 and the birth certificate there of his ancestors. All his ancestors got birth certificates through this Rogan. In the courts, nobody else got them. Only the people who are in the Freemasons got them, the birth certificates at 1830 and to 1834, 1835 under King William IV. So there, that's another thing. That's another thing we got all that captured for you. And so I think, Andy, I think it's about time for me to pass over to you. And Alfred can jump in any time to talk when we're talking about it. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I want to hear back from what people have to say, and don't be afraid to say anything towards what's happening here. And don't be offended by me saying things about Maori, because this is a reality. To fix the Maori problem up is to fix the Maoris up first, and get that side of the crown sorted right now on this hui. Okay, Andy.
Sure. So yeah, very well articulated there, John. Thank you very much. Is there anybody that would like to point upon any points that John's pointed out?
What John has covered, he's done a good coverage. I've just been writing all the notes. Yep, very good.
Yeah. So we're all ready to go, Andy, back, because the documents are all ready to go, except these extra bits are put in with the proclamations to add to it and to get them consented to, and we're away again. The only thing that I was hoping Hemi would be on tonight, but he doesn't have an email or messenger where I can send everything to. So I'm hoping someone from Ngapuhi at least will come on up. I see we've got Tim Chan on. I asked him to come on, but he didn't want to say anything, but he wants to listen to see what's going on now that he has a better idea. He's there with Philip Rupa and Alfred to sort the flag issue out. And so we've been through that. We can now talk about one of the things or two of the things or something else anybody wants to talk about, at least to add to this. I'm hoping that somebody from Ngapuhi would come online and talk. We've got my friend from Kaya from Matiaha from Masterton. He's come on. I saw his face on earlier, Andy, and he might want to have a say because he's working with Hapu all over the place, trying to bring them together. But he might be still there or not. I'm not sure. But I just, as long as he got an understanding of what is happening in our hui to resolve the matter of the Crown business and the threat. We're not threatening the government here. We're not threatening the government in England. We're just challenging their documents and their title over our lands and their jurisdiction here and in Britain under the Queen. That's why I didn't want anybody to talk about the Queen, because it conflicts with what we're trying to put across as being it's going back to a king, a native bench court default. So everything we do is default contract if they don't answer to us in our hui. When I put a document together to challenge them with the video and send it to Jacinda Ardern to see what she says about our hui on the marae taking over her jurisdiction of her iwi trustees at Waitangi. So this is a notice on them, and as well to front up. And that's what me and Kingi were trying to do with their obelisk, the 1840 Treaty Obelisk, is the title to New Zealand, but it can't produce any evidence as this much and even the Utatonga title to the land. They can't produce that to put that memorial there, Andy, to claim over the top of the original native of the land and the moai that they put in Wellington on Lyle Beach to claim the Pacific and the foreshore and seabed in 2004 by Helen Clark. They can't even prove that is a real memorial from Easter Island, like what the Queen did in England, put a real moai there as God's earth spirit law, L-O-R-E, law, tikanga law there, so she can usurp that law. And she put a moai, Queen Victoria in 1868, and Queen Elizabeth put the one down in South Island to claim the crown over New Zealand. So you got two Moais fighting against each other of this silly crown in Wellington and the big crown in England putting her title here with the Moai and a fake replica Moai from Chile, of all places, down in Wellington on the beach to claim the land of foreshore and seabed. So that's something to ponder about for people. Look at your memorials, look at how they took the land and got you off it. So we're doing everything in reverse so that people can understand what to do and how to do it together.
Correcting the timeline.
Correcting the timeline. Correcting everything. Yeah. So I think, Andy, people want to listen. I haven't had anybody chucking stones at me yet, so it must be all right. Or you.
You're doing a good job, you. Eh? We'll throw flowers. We'll throw roses.
Exactly.
There was only Kate, the only one that was throwing a bit of tar, but however, we know where she's coming from, and so she's had the floor, so we know where that's going to go, and waiting for her results from her court hearing, which would be good to know how she gets on and her 1688 Bill of Rights. You see, I put a document there. I've got documents already done with the 1688 King William III in my documents before that 2021, right back to 2011. I put all the acts of King William III in. I've chosen a few acts from there in all my documents. If you go over them, I've added all the acts, the writ warrant act, everything, and the treason act, all the acts I put in my document. And so we put all those, that's why I put it as proclamations to use those acts straight away. We can use them straight away. And then all we had to do is get the consent from the Crown in England for the flag, and it's all business. It's all falls in place. Yeah. And so hopefully Donald Trump and his Freemason side of him will pat us on the back for saving Britain, because he's going to lose it to the United Nations, which he wanted shut down. I've got all those documents of him forcing the United Nations from the Treasury not to give them money. He was trying to starve them of money when I was writing to him, so he would not ever want to see Britain go with all his real estate there, and his roots, his Scottish Rite roots, and his Freemason side of land titles that did all this work right around the world. He wouldn't want to lose that coming from Scotland, the superior land title holder in Edinburgh. So the Holy Grail is there. The Freemasons' office is. I've got it all sorted out. The Freemasons' office is there, where this chief Tira Waikato Whareherehere stepped out of the land court into the court and signed a document over. It's there. We've got to go and pick those papers up and registered papers as evidence before we go into the Westminster Magistrate Court, because that's run by Muslims. They've taken over the whole place. The Queen put them in. She put them in and put the mayor as a Muslim, that Khan as a Muslim for the City of London, Bank of England. So we've come up against the Bank of England with a pound note, the original 2 bar pound note, against their inferior 1 bar pound note, and before they get rid of it, you see, we've got the unique Patterson pound note that's got its patent, because he was the bank manager at the time. So Rothschild got him out of business and took over the bank, and we're in that bank with the pound note with the real one. So that's the end of that lot.
Exactly.
All silent. All silent. I'm waiting for someone to talk. I'm waiting. I wish this was like this at Waikato Marae and Te Tii Marae, where it goes silent and no one has to say anything. They only want to watch the video to see what's happening so they can go and try and do it.
Exactly.
So they try and do it. But the Freemasons know who's got it. They won't let any Tom, Dick and Harry into this business. No show. No show. My Rogan family married into my family down the East Coast, Dick Rogan. And he took over all the land stuff and all that down there. And the other Rogan, John Rogan, took over the Manukau title. So between the Wānoa title and the Manukau title in the Auckland boundary area was stretched right down there. It was cut into regions, 6 regions. And so we fall into the Auckland city area in the Cook Street from this one title. That's what I was using in the court as over Ngāti Whātua, her Meg tribe, in taking over Auckland and selling the whole lot. Now they only got a little bit of land left and sold the rest, and they're pleading ignorance or pleading for some more land back when they sold the damn thing. We didn't sell land. Only their queen sold the land. The natives didn't sell the land. They signed documents, but they didn't sell the land. Do the documents, the transactions. They say when Kate says they sold the land, the Maoris, no, the people that do the documents sold the land. The lawyers, and the bankers did that. Not the native. No. You gotta get that one right, okay? And think you've got a lot to learn, and you might learn something from watching the video, instead of chucking stones. You might learn something about what your people did, but anyway, we won't talk like that too much. We got a job to do, and so we need to progress through these resolutions and proclamations I put ahead, so that if we have nobody saying anything after the next hui, then we carry them through as being someone from Waitangi might talk about it, talk to it first before you start passing anything. See, so that's what we're doing. We're going straight into like acts of Parliament, but we're going through acts of enforcement so that the Navy can enforce it straight away. I might have to add the Navy, and I think I left it out. The Navy to enforce. I think I did, but I'll check again. To enforce them to honour the flag and its contract with the Navy, and that's what John Patterson was in our group for, to bring the Navy in for the flag, to get the Navy to honour us and what we're doing as the Admiralty of the sea and the land. But I think they put an end to him for now, until we can get eh?
They captured him when he was delivering. We was both on standby. We was both on. Yep. John was delivering the 100-page document into the Ministry of Defence, and yep. They captured him outside the Ministry of Defence, and then they by fraud, by a fraudulent court, tricked him and duped him into a prison, where they then, because they'd tried to previously trick him into a mental health ward under a fraud before, which they couldn't do, and he released. But they got him in via a different section from the prison to put him into a mental health ward on the total false grounds again. But it's all fraud. The whole lot was fraud. It was proven to be fraud. But
yep. So
they'd poisoned him. They'd poisoned him every year. He
was our main man because he's been in the Navy for a long few years, and would speak to the people in the Navy about this flag. And but that didn't finish off. He was there the first time I went there. He was there at the Parliament with us, and I've forgotten everybody now that was there. I'm picking up from who was there, but eventually we'll just make another group of 12 people again there, and 6 people from here, because you've got Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England. So you need at least 12 people from the different areas. Frank is more Irish than in England, so he can be from Ireland, and Paul Brown is a little bit quiet, so we'll find somebody else. Rebecca is all right for Ireland, but we'll see as we go. And Sean Maguire, he'd be a good candidate because he rocks everybody up with the right information. But now his only concern is what King George V did to his people and murdered them. And so that's his gripe on how do the people get compensated. We don't talk about the word compensate. We only talk about seizure and writ warrants and debt instruments. We don't talk about compensating someone for a loss. We don't have loss in our vocabulary in the Confederation, and so we go under that model for him. He'll pick up more as we go along, and fire it out to people in Ireland, and so it'll take a while for people who are caught up in the system to get out of it, to come into something when there's no money there. But the moment the pound note springs in, it's all Hail Mary. They all jump ship when that happens, because that's another expense is the printing machine. There was 68,000 back then in 2011 when I was going to buy one, because they get their money here made in Singapore. Singapore, I think, or Thailand somewhere. They get the pound notes, the dollar notes done there in Australia. So we just get the printing machine that was from China for 68,000 for a printer and start printing. And there, some people have put some more ideas about that on my page. I see them playing around with the pound note now in King Tafio. So those people know, they know. They'll come out and telling me what to do, telling me a few ideas how to do it. But I had that tag pay at the time. It's a French outfit to work off your mobile, to use the mobile as money machine. And so there's plenty more after that that you can choose now as something to put your money in your shares in.
Each man and woman can have their own bank. They're on their own bankers. They have their own wallet in the phone. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I didn't want to go into the crypto because I wanted to stay as original, and then start to think of crypto or something. But that's in what I call, it's in a world where it's all fantasy and making money, and someone's got to lose and someone's going to win mentality. So with this pound note, it's everybody gets the same deal all over the world. They get the same deal and money in their pocket they can feel, and not something that can be whizzed off you in a transaction online. If you put the wrong number in crypto, you'll lose the whole bloody lot. And so we didn't want that being caught up with people making a mistake on their wallets, the crypto wallets. You just need to make someone scam it, and all your money's gone, the whole bloody lot. So we don't want that. We just better to stay safe for now until we get on our feet before going that far.
Can be brought, can be re-educated in that, the children's. How can you expect the elderly people and to start using something that they'll never get it?
Not everybody
disabling.
Not everybody literate with mobile phones.
Exactly, yeah, it's disabling.
Yeah. So there, we just keep it simple. Everything I do is simple, and not hard to get a hold of, and start doing something after we get it prepared here, and everybody understands and start to acknowledge it. Once they start acknowledging it, will be all right. I'm just waiting to get onto the radio in Canada with my mates I got over there. I was spending a lot of time with those native people that are caught up with what's that guy in the church, that guy that's gone to the world court and all those crimes and everything. Everything's criminal land and all that sort of. I forget what. Kevin Annette. Yeah, so he's still battling away in the World Court in The Hague, which is what we don't go to a court like that because they can stop you in your tracks and won't go anywhere. I've never known a case that's been successful in there. I've only seen successful cases in the magistrate court in England and the High Court, where they go in the millions on international crime under this admiralty. They have to take it back into the higher jurisdiction. Yep, that's why I hang around that. Where's Kaya? Is he still there? Matiaha. He's from Tahu business people.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh yes.
Yep.
Oh, you want to have a say?
You're about.
Yeah, nah. I just wanna listen and see sort of what we're up to.
Right.
And yeah, I still need to have a good listen to some of the corridor, so I'm up to date. I'm not up to date yet, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I like I like what's being talked about. It's good. And it's bringing me up to date with current issues for us, and it's got me definitely thinking about, you know, exactly what we need to be focusing on in the present. And oh, it's good. I want to have a good listen because yeah, once I am more up to date, I'll probably join in then. Yeah, probably join in more and do a lot more sharing then. Otherwise, I'm happy to listen mostly at the moment. Yeah,
Yep.
I think everything that's going through so far should go through. I think, yeah, that's for sure. I think, yeah, all those matters. You and I talk about those a lot, Matsua? They definitely. Those are a lot of the major. They're the primary issues for us. You know, right across the world. Yeah.
It's always been us still wanting to get something going on the land, and I'm no different. Developing and getting the finances has been the hardest thing to get, and to do something for our Hapu and family. That's the big problem, and keeping up to date with the changes in Parliament. They change the laws all the time so that we can't get what we need, and control. So we're just looking for ideas from people, and everybody. That's everybody. Pākehā, everybody that's involved with this one across the world. And so we have to. We're the ones they're looking at the moment with Jacinda Ardern, looking at us. They're looking at us first before they go into their own world and forget about us. That's the problem at the moment that we face. The whole world faces. Yep. Something like that. No other questions? That's right.
No. I'm all good.
Anybody else? Thank you, Gav.
Right on. How do you tune this? The mute on. How do you tune the mute? Oh, no, how do you tune the video on? I think they want to see your face.
You want me to- I'll show you.
I might have start video.
Oh, you got to start the video. Oh,
I don't know.
I don't know if they can hear me.
Can you hear?
Can you hear?
I can hear you, yes. Can't see you.
Oh, we got no video, sorry, so you can't see our face.
It doesn't say video on there, so I can't ask you to turn your video on now. So yeah, but we can hear you fine. Okay.
Yeah, kia ora, I was just listening in. I'm based in Tūhoi and Whakatō here, East Coast, and we just came across because I used to be Hohepa's caregiver, Mapiria, and I'm quite familiar with the kaupapa. And I'm also a Waitangi claimant that hasn't settled or hasn't signed for settlement. And I've established I'm a UK international company over in the UK, and I was I've put my claim under my company, and I was about to hit the Privy Council, with my claim, but before I could do that, I had to have an interest. I have an interest through my tipuna, and because you fellas are already there, I thought, oh, I want to have a listen. And I like how you fellas are doing the things in that. And we down here, well, I am, because I'm the researcher for my claim. Our claim is Tūranga Pikitoi. That's around Ohiwa Harbour, Muruwaka. Hapu Oni.
Jim Wikotu.
Yeah, that's my uncle, Jim Wikotu.
That's the fellow that was working with me.
Taraki Te Pairi. Taraki Te Pairi, all of them. Yeah, well, I'm the last one of that line of those people. They're all passed on now. May they rest in peace.
Right. How did he get on with that? How did Jim get on with that property in Hauraki, that place where he set up? I went to.
Oh, they still got it. Yeah, the honey business and all of that. No, they still got it. But I think the Pākehā that was helping them out from the United States, he's pulled out, I think.
Okay.
Because since Jim has passed away, his wife, well, I haven't been there for a while. I sort of like I didn't quite agree with some of the stuff that Uncle was doing. And the Māori incorporations, I didn't quite agree with what they were doing and how they were doing it. And I believe that they weren't set up as administrators and managers, to do all that stuff for the land, to care and, care for the people and, So I sort of stepped out of them. Peter Helmbright, I was with them and, and I sort of like stepped away. And so I formed my own UK company. I'm going to form my other company over in the United States. That's to capture the Crown, the Crown Corporation under the name. As an individual, I won't step over that. I've got no rights without the consent of, the people, but I do have the right to take over my Serikei in whatever fashion I believe. But because I've got the claim under my name, which is a historic claim, I have that right as a kaitiaki, because our people don't, in Whakatohea, they don't know what they're doing. They're mad. They're all fighting for power. And they're all caught up in that Māori corporate entity. And they think that's, the light at the end of the tunnel. It ain't. They're only subservient to the government at the end of the day. Hey, and and so I've stepped out of them. And so, as a kaitiaki, not looking at them because they all, some of them are greedy and all of that. I'm looking at the mokopuna. And setting under my claim, setting something up for them. But first of all, I think that the claim in the tribunal, which is arbitration, is not going to work because we really found out that it's all a conflict of interest. So therefore, it has to be outside.
Why is it in conflict of interest?
Because, as you know, they all have personal interests, and you all know that they are all under the same umbrella. So they work no matter what part of or what organ of government they are, they're all part of the same organ or the same government. And so I can't say whether they are taking bribes, the lawyers, the QCs, you know, they're doing taking bribes or they're doing deals behind the claimants' backs. But I can tell you this, that I've seen it with whakatoa anyway. I've seen all the squabbling and I've seen all the, you know, the winks and the secret handshakes, the Freemasonry signals and symbols, and I don't like it. So you know, I'm of the view that they are doing deals and they are trying to line their own pockets, and you know, at the expense of the claimants. So I find it necessary to subrogate myself from those entities, and segregate myself from the whānau, because they all caught up in either the Marae Committee, which is the part of the Māori Trust Board, which is a part of the Puni Kokere, which is the part of, you know, Tumu Pairo, which is the part of the Māori Federation, which is the part of the government, subservient to the government, following the acts. So I feel that that's not the best course of action. I feel that international is the best course of action for an impartial, you know, sitting and an impartial determination in relation to the native Aboriginal title or native title of, you know, our pātangata, and all those tangible and intangible interests that the Crown is holding in trust.
Okay. Okay.
So, but anyway, I was just, the point is that I was just listening to you fellas, and you know, I like some of the kororo. I got no objection.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I got no objection. But yeah, so yeah, I'm more or less where you fellas are, but I'm not that big. I'm only a small fry. But I am Irish, and I know about Ireland. I also know about Denmark and all those places, Netherlands. So I've done my, you know, I've done my homework and done my stuff like that. And I'm setting up my own administration and my own management for the claim. I'm setting up a framework. I do databases and all that sort of stuff. So we actually doing that. I'll be online, you know, in the near future under my company domain, and I've done my intellectual. So I've claimed my intellectual right. I believe that's where it's at. 1835 intellectual claim, trading rights. As for the land ownership, that's already declared through George III, IV. All the treaty is rights, assignment of rights. As far as I'm concerned, that's what's the treaty is worth for me. So therefore, as I said to the tribunal, well, I don't need your bankruptcy, your debt money. I'll just have the rights under Article 2. So that's where I'm at. But I'm always open to learning more. I don't know everything.
Okay,
so,
then.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Okay. Oh, I just want to say something, ask you something, Lloyd. Is when talking about your entity, is that set up under section 211, subsection 1 of the Te Tii, and section 129, subsection 1 and subsection B, and subsection 2 and subsection B? Are you set up under that part of the status?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, yes.
Oh, no. I'm UPU. I'm registered under the Universal Postal Union.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's the post, eh? You know, as far as I don't know about anybody, but my opinion is that the Waitangi where Hobson, you know, and they set up their tent, there was the post, and so it's a different authority under the postal union. So I'm set up under the postal union, and I'm creating my own post so that I can communicate, whether it's to England or whether it's to the United States or whether it's to Rome. I've rebutted the Pope through another organization. I've got the certificates, and I'm at the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, and that's where all, you know, all grievances, what the the papal bulls, which was under the Pope, that were issued, that they used for the doctrine of discovery. That's the Terris Nullis, Romanus Pontifex, Tenus Regus, and convocation, which is essential to the capturing of the individual under the birth certificate. So I went that way, and my trust and my incorporation and my my corporation is UK law. So I'm under UK law. I'm not in the foreign jurisdiction of New Zealand. Okay.
Oh, good one, Lloyd. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We'll see if anybody else wants to have a talk. Thank you for that. We'll keep in touch online, just message, and we'll try and get through and a few more things with Andy on what we do next.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Andy.
Okay.
Hey, John. Right, so say again, John.
Does anybody else wants to talk? I'm just letting them have a talk now because we haven't got too many people on at the moment. That's fine.
There's 9 of us here now. There's 9 of us. Like, would anyone else like to add anything or get any clarity on anything? Anything? Yes, Dennis. Sure, you can. If you want to unmute, I'll just ask you to unmute so we can hear you. We can't hear you yet. That you're muted at the moment. I'm asking you to. You have to unmute, Dennis. We can't hear you. You're mute. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. John, you've been you did say not to talk about Queen Victoria, but I've just got one little question.
Mm-hmm.
If Queen Victoria was supposed to have taken all the land, would that land have any titles to it, the one piece? Because you've got a whole lot of titles.
No, it'll have to come under. She didn't take one title.
Yeah.
She didn't take one title. Only King George IV took one title.
Yeah, she didn't purchase any.
Yeah, she came later, so she only went under what was already there, and the Rothschilds stepped in. So anything that changed with the Rothschild and King Victoria was the influence of the Rothschilds over the Queen. She had the crown, but she had to say in what money was made out in the crown. It was the City of London, a different government running over the top of her government in Westminster.
I see. So, yeah, she wouldn't have the same land titles as what you hold.
No.
She was
No,
given
thank you.
in the Te Treaty Waitangi. She was given preemption. Exclusive right of preemption.
Yeah.
To purchase land, and she never.
Yeah, she's going through the Australia and New South Wales, which is making New Zealand part of Australia, and so her crown is separate from the king that came direct with the flag from Westminster. So it's going around the corner into New Zealand. That's where the problem is, where it changed, where the whole system changed from when it was going right with King William IV. Everything was working out right. He reformed the acts of Westminster Parliament, and then soon as King George IV died, they switched the king and put King George V in to go down the line to King Victoria and to end up with Queen Elizabeth. And they switched when King William IV died. They put in Queen Victoria when King William IV knew he had to keep the monarchy going and the sovereign and the crown going under the king title, so that it keeps the land in control of nobody private outside of the king's kingdom, and so the Queen let the whole thing out with the Rothschilds and changed the whole way the king set it up to do. So we're going back to the king's way of doing things, because at the moment, your Queen Elizabeth, who succeeded from Queen Victoria, is not on the throne anymore. She's not there. So it can't happen. It's put a problem there. That's what I'm finding out from these British people we've signed up with. To find out where the hell is the Queen Elizabeth to sit on the throne to guard all our wealth in our crown for us, and she's gone. We're still beneficiaries, don't forget. Only us in New Zealand, with our trust. The original trust of Queen Victoria, 1844, was set up for us to protect all the other people from stealing too many things, and that trust went into the United Nations. Queen Victoria put it into the United Nations. That's when it went all over the place. It changed after that again.
Oh, yeah.
And now the Pope is stepping in to take over the United Nations. He owns the armies, legally owns the armies of 193 countries to take out Westminster, shut it down, bring the EU in to take over and make his new world order. That's where we're up to now. There's not much time left. There's not much time.
No, I know. Yeah. No, thanks. Thanks for that.
That's good of you to come and ask a question. That's what I'm waiting for. Lots of questions.
You got to try and learn. And, yeah. I can see where you're going to now, because on the other one with your friend Kate was going the other way.
Yeah,
I just getting cheeky. That's all. Not really. Yeah.
No. She means well, but it hits a nerve and throws your track of thought. If you put some thought in your head, it changes what the whole thing is about of fixing up a problem. She's only fixing part of a problem, not the whole problem. We've got a big problem. We got a massive problem. She can't fix a massive problem up in one court hearing.
Yes, I know. With the COVID and all that, with Jacinda Ardern running around, that's not helping either.
Yep. So she's got the martial law. She's put the martial law. We're not even a federal state here. She's borrowed it from Australia federal state. You can only be a federal to put martial law in your country. That's what they tried to do with Aaron Pascoe down in Te Tuhoe. When they raided Tuhoe, they used the martial law, and I've got them. I put them on the block, and they had to stop. They had to stop using it, and so they're using martial law now on the COVID because they borrowed it from everywhere else. And they're trying to make us a republic.
Yeah, it's unlawful. They've done it unlawfully.
Yeah, they break the rules all the time. They do it all the time because they don't care. They don't care when they
and they hope that the public doesn't take too much notice of them, then they can slide other action or legislation, and people not aware of it. Yeah,
they trust them too much. The public trusts them too much on what they say. It's safe for you. It's safe for you, and so they do it, and then next minute got a problem. You got a real problem.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping our farmers and hapus don't get affected by this thing. Once you got it, you got it.
Yes, I'm aware that our younger generation are not up with the New Zealand history and especially Sestake Trust and all that stuff, corporation. But I'm doing my best to teach some of our younger generation because it needs to be taught.
Yeah.
And I
yeah,
only
yeah.
came into this in about the year 2017 when I had a problem with the tax department. I got
Yeah.
sick of the barbs.
You know what I do? I just write on the bill, accept it for value, and send it back to them and sign it, and that's the end of it. You don't hear from them
Yeah,
again.
yeah. I did not know any of that, you know, and yeah, and
From the trust.
I don't, yeah, I always paid tax, but the buggers wanted more, you know,
Yeah.
They annoyed me, and this is when you know, but anyway, got to learn sometime.
Yeah. So at the moment in New Zealand, parliamentary sovereignty, acting their own sovereignty of their little crown. I say little crown because the Queen in England is the bigger crown. So they enforce the parliamentary sovereignty over the courts. Now they legislated in the new acts in Parliament to override the courts. Obstinance. It means it overrides the court, so they can tell the courts what to do now. You see?
Yeah. Yes, it's. I know some of our people don't do too well in the court anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a problem with a guy with somebody which is close by from where I am. Hey, yeah, he had a problem, and they're hard to deal with, the courts. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're there to win the courts themselves.
Yeah. It's yeah. What do they call it? Trust. Yeah, trustee driven. And the Bible itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for that, John.
Thank you. That's all right.
Yeah. They're operating under trust law, the courts, and so the legislations don't apply to the people. That in itself is the key. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all trust. Make money by using the trust system. You're the person. You're the living being is really not what they're after. They're after money.
Yeah. Well, they're District Court Act 1947, Section 49 says it there. Parties to any proceedings that may sue or be sued in their district courts are administrators, executor, and trustees. Only those three entities. So it tells you that they're operating in trust law. So if you're the beneficiary, you're not a party to the proceedings.
No.
Because you're not the trust. It's the trustee.
You don't run it. You don't run the trust. Yes. Well, you don't run the trust.
Yeah, it's the trustee that does. So the trustee is always like
the trustees are the legal landowners, and they are the legal landowners of your Hapu's land, and that's corporate in the system.
Because in the Crimes Act 1961, Section 229, it says there the liable party is basically the trustee. Not.
It should be the trustee, but the beneficiary ends up paying for it.
Well, they trick you. They trick you into becoming the trustee. It's all by deceived consent. It's all.
That's the one. Consent, and they've got you more or less.
They get you to become the trustee when you're because the people are unaware that they are the beneficiary. They don't know what they're a beneficiary of. They're not aware of all this, and this is why.
That's it. Yeah. I think I might be going out. My battery's going flat, and I've got to go and put it on the charge.
Thanks for
how long will the meeting go for?
Oh, till we think of finishing?
That's all the questions I need to ask. I'll put it on charge and I'll probably still hang in and see what's happening. Cheers. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Bye. Hey, Andy, just a point of note here is that the motu proprio, the Pope Francis, I think it came out in 2013, 2012. He wiped the UCC laws right out, and if you lose them, it's your fate. If somebody knows about it and you go to court, you win on it, and nobody's talking about it. I can go through that exercise one Zoom period where you can use the motu proprio against the court and dupe them, and they'll run out of the court. They'll run out of the court because they're illegally using UCC law in the government and in the courts when the Pope has got rid of it because he said it's fraud. He admitted in the motu proprio that it's fraud, and he's telling you what they've been doing, and he's distanced himself from it after getting all the money out of it for his own wealth in the Vatican. They're cunning how they do it. But I went right through the motu proprio in my claims with Mohi Manukau. I used all that to back me up in going to court, even Cook Street, in that. And they still locked us up. Me and the marshals locked us all up, and they dismissed the case because the police had no evidence. There was no evidence. They couldn't stack up against what I had. And those marshals got off. They couldn't understand how they got off. And they were using the flag in the and all that to try and get themselves off. And the judge wouldn't wear it and just sent them back to prison. And all of us, because we were trying to be sovereign on our own land, and not so much me, but I was the one that led the marshals into Cook Street to take the land with the Manukau title, and that's after having talks, putting the police on video when I went to the courthouse, so that you can see they accepted all my documents to refute. No one refuted the Cook Street documents on the land there to take that land right over. Otherwise, we would have had our office set up there on Cook Street of what Mohi Manukau wanted that back. You see, Andy, they don't have enough documents where they got the land from. Who gave it?
Your phone's crackling a lot.
That sergeant woman. Oh, yeah, that sergeant woman, she buggered off to Norfolk Island, that's right?
Yep, that's right.
In your court case.
Yeah, something like that.
And then they held you outside for quite some time so that you couldn't attend while they were processing your case. And then once they process it, they say, hey, you can come in, but it's all finished.
Yeah,
Dirty buggers.
Flower Dew Brown, that was her name. That police officer, for 2 years, she went on a contract with the Solomons. They got rid of her because I would have taken. I had no Flower Dew Brown to take to court, and I had no money to go to court either.
I know. I've just seen on the these guys that run what they call it, the Post, or the words don't come to my mind, but there's one guy that says that Tira Australis is registered in the Norfolk Islands.
Yeah,
that's where it is. That's where they're hidden.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if New Zealand's registered there too.
More so.
I thought New Zealand's registered in the Security Exchange in Washington DC.
No, that's why they got the Pacific Islands sorted out, and their havens are over there. The Norfolk, you're right about the Norfolk. You're right.
Tira Australis that's Australia is registered and I think owned by Norfolk Island. So I forgot about these guys. They Mark Kishon Christopher, they run that, and he was saying that they found out that Tira Australis, that's Australia, is registered in Norfolk Island, and I think supposed to be owned by Norfolk Island because that was one island that had no inhabitants in it.
Yeah, that's a corporation. Yeah, you're right there. It is Norfolk Island that's controlling Australia. Yeah.
But I'm just wondering if New Zealand may be registered there too, but I don't have one there.
Documents are recognised by the government, which is what they're doing. They're using Australia constitution. They're sharing the 86 constitution, which was put together here in Wellington, and Australia uses it, and they use our 93 Native Land Act in Australia, but they wouldn't tell me where they got it from.
Yeah. Yeah.
From. They borrowed it from here without our authority. That's another one going to Westminster Court. Where the hell did they get it from and all that? It's the way they ran their corporation from Norfolk Island. That's what. Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot to learn.
I thought it was that company.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep. Well, thanks. Yeah, Andy, who else is there?
There's still 9 people in here. Does anybody else? Would anyone else like to speak? Anybody else with any questions or?
T.Y. Chen was here. He might want to talk about the flag. He knows all about it. He knows all about the money and the bitcoins and everything. Are you there, Tim?
Is your phone? Because you've got a lot of crackling coming from your phone, John. Can you put it somewhere because it's like I don't know. You touch it. It's better now. It's better now.
I'll take the pound.
That's better.
That should be it. I've Tin Chan. He was with Dilip Rupo and Alfred, and I was talking to him before he came on, and so but he wanted to listen. I think he's a bit shy, but he's very knowledgeable on these sort of things with the flag. Yeah. But he might be camera shy, I think.
Well, he's not camera shy because he's here. So I don't know. Would you like to say, Tim? You're muted if you do want to say anything. If you're not, if you're just listening, that's fine.
Yeah, no, that's what he said. He come to listen.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a big one. It's the motu proprio, Andy. With anybody doing cases of Sean Maguire in Ireland start using the motu proprio in their court cases, he might win because they'll throw it out the court, they'll handle it. If the Pope said you're on your own, that's what he said. You're on your own. If you use those acts, they're still there to use, even in America. They're using the UCC in America when it's been dissolved by the Pope. So they still carry on because there's no other law to use, and so you can win your case.
Because the UCC was set up because after 1933, when they removed the substance from circulation from the economy, there was no longer any lawful money, so they had to create a colourable law, and that's what statutes are. Statutes, the UCC, it's colourable law. So that's the reason why it's set up.
Yeah. So in 1933 on Mount Eden Hill, there's a plaque up there. This girl from America came over and did a video with me on Mount Eden Hill, and it's 1933, bankrupted. That America did that, bankrupted the whole country, the whole world.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's there. They did that on Mount Eden Hill. She came here to find out from me where these memorials were. I forget what her name is. I'll dig it out and throw it online. But it's on video. We did a video on it. The sound wasn't too good on it, but you can hear what she's saying. And she's verifying what I was saying is true. That the survey marks on Mount Eden Hill is the Freemasons as well. The mark of land titles and survey marks. So that's another thing that showed that the Act of 1833, the bank, what you call it, dissolving bankruptcy. 1933 was bankrupt. America bankrupt. Then that's where it is. Mount Eden Hill. For anybody who wants to do research on that. And I'll go and look for my video in one of my Facebook sites of her interviewing. She's a professor from America.
What was the name?
I can't think of it.
Gino
Dean.
Yeah.
Gino
Just
Dean.
put your phone up again, John, because you got a lot of crackling. I don't know if you're touching. I don't know if your phone cable or something's touching. That's better.
That's better?
Yeah, that's better.
Gino Dean.
Now, who put the plant there, John?
That was the government here, I think,
Oh, the
at the
government,
time. Yeah,
okay.
did a deal with America.
Okay.
So I got all that history online as memorials with the survey mark. That's a survey mark up there, and One Tree Hill, the other survey mark. But there, I'm following where they money went.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll bring that video joining up the bankruptcy of the world from the World Bank and all that Rothschild thing. I did a lot of research on that with and she videoed me at Cook Street as well. Gino Dean, that's her name. She's a professor, very clever, but she can come back on again if I invite her back on the show. She can talk about it. She can tell you all about America and all what happened in the banking world. With from here, New Zealand, everything was here. That when they signed that treaty, off they went to America. The consulate.
Real bad crackling again, John. Just your phone is.
I just wondering if maybe my phone needs muting my microphone.
It's John's phone. It's John's.
Yeah, I'm holding it in my hand. If I put it somewhere on something and I learn from it, I'll leave it by itself. I'll try this. There, that's better.
That's much better, yeah, at the moment anyway.
I got it out of my hand because I must have static in my hand.
It's you're buzzing. You're buzzing, man. You're buzzing. Yeah.
So we might have Gino Dean on Zoom with us to tell you the whole story about how they bankrupted this country and put it into America, where she done all the research over there and came here to do the research here and found me.
Absolutely, yeah, it would be good, especially. So the timeline. Once people, because this thing about the timeline, you've got to see it in the timeline to see where it went off the path. We just can't keep on a straight line. We're keeping on a straight line. Once you see the straight line, you can see where it was variated, and you can see now where. That's why I say about Kate. And Kate's talking about her, but she's off the beaten track. We have to stick to the track. That's what. That's why. You know.
So we've got backup people who talk, who can talk to the land. That's what I'm waiting for. People in Ngapuhi. That woman Paulina. She knows the land up there. She's a Samoan, married a Ngapuhi chief, a man, but she knows. I went over her land titles with her just today. Not with her today, but with this other guy, Donovan. That's his name, Donovan, and he should be on here tonight. Our guy Donovan, if he's on. No, he's a friend of Paulina. Paulina's been going to Waitangi for years, and she gets up and sings and all sorts. Paulini, but she's got the original titles. Her husband at Matari Bay for the whole place, and how it got alienated. I showed her how her land got alienated, and she's only got a little house on a portion of it when the whole lot belonged to her, like her ancestors. So she's being screwed out, and so that's all happened all over the country. So if we can do something right, then everybody will get somewhere. I've just been where I've been, where the places where I've been. I've been with Jim Waikato down in Hauraki, where this other guy was talking, and spent a bit of time with him with his land titles. So I know what's going on with his land, and land all over the place, even right up north. Those lands with Bundy Waitai, and his hapus up there. They're more Rarotongan. Cook Island, King Hongihiga, more Cook Island, because those people up there, they just not far away from the Cook Islands, and so like D-Harp he's involved with them all, and so he came up with me as well. So this is just identifying bits of land here and there where they're all scrambling all over the place, all over the land, trying to claim this and that. When you can try and see what's wrong with one. You get one right, you get the lot right. That's what I was doing with Cook Street. Get that one right, you got the lot. If I got Cook Street and they They couldn't find anything wrong with what I was doing. They had no refutal of all the affidavits I put together and the marae huis. They just couldn't do anything. The iwi trustees got in the way and put some cotton story across to the Crown, listening to them. Now they're in trouble. They don't have much land left. They've sold the whole day. That's why I was after all those titles downtown with Ngāti Whātua is. I know who's who on those lands and who's not supposed to be there. It's more Te Arawa and Rangitoto. That's an Arawa name. And all the names on these places, I know I've got a good handle on which one is which in the real original people who landed there. So that's why Mohi put those tribes together, and Tamata Kapua, Tupuna for Arawa. So I know all the Tupunas. I can go over those one day and get that sorted out. Don't take me much to go and sort them all out. See who's who. It's a cart in front of the horse.
Yeah.
It's just what's wrong with these married land titles. The cart is in front of the horse, and the people talking in government is in the wrong place. But they don't care. The corporates don't care if they got the whakapapa wrong, the genealogy wrong, or anything wrong. As long as someone talks on their side, that's all they'll accept it. That's what happened with Ngāti Whātua downtown. They told their story. They told their story from Kaipara, how they set up the kāwhuru with the wrong kāwhuru, and Sir Hugh Kāwhuru, the professor that wrote up all the thesis for the government, the Crown, and they accepted it. They wouldn't accept Mohi Manukau's. No, I tried to force them to accept in a claim. They said, no, you're not. We can't. We're taking this one. Here's the tupunas for Auckland, not your one. You see, Andy, we have to go right back to Westminster Magistrate Court and Edinburgh Magistrate Court to pick up the records and come back here and shove it in their nose. And that's the end of them.
Yeah.
We dissolved them from over there. We just dissolved the whole lot. Parliament, that's the end of it. The Queen is not there to dissolve them, so we dissolved them ourselves with the people in Britain.
Sure. Well, you can't solve a problem with a problem. The true way of solving the problem is the prevention. So you have to go back to the beginning where it went, where the wrong started. It's as simple as that. Clear up and keep on the straight line. So that's what I've always understood from what you're doing. You're taking the ship back to where it went off path, and you're putting the ship back on course. That was what it was. Yeah.
It's just correcting your records, the land records.
Right, yeah.
Collecting one land record, all the rest will fall in place. And then the land goes back to the native of the land. They get their sovereign back again until another king comes in, and the sovereign will go to the king in the Crown to collect all the money off the land and carry on as normal corporations if you want it that way. If you got rid of the king, like what they're trying to do now, the Queen, and the Vatican is trying to get rid of the Queen, so there's no more monarch lines or bloodlines anymore, and they've got all the money out of it, and so you got nothing. You just got the land with everybody on it, and pending to the Vatican. That's all happening now. They've got all the wealth. They've taken screwed all the wealth out of the Crown, and now they're telling us we're going to be happy with nothing.
And it's all the Crown. It's the Crown. I mean, because this, we're all the Crown, and the Crown has been usurped. So that's what's happened. It's got to come back to the people. We've got to take back our Crown and stand us.
Yeah. Well, the statutes say the Act binds the Crown, so it's telling them, no, it's telling the people it binds the Crown, all these statutes.
Yeah. Anybody else, Andy, with any questions? I'm waiting for firing a lot of questions.
Yeah, well. Is there anybody else that would like to point out? I mean, even if it's just a question that you feel would be relevant for the people that's listening, that you can pull out so that you can make John clarify that may need more points. John was always, from the time I've been with John was always there, and he wants the questions to pull out the answers from his head. They're in his head, but he needs the questions to pull those answers out. So, you know, he wants the questions asking to him. So if there's anybody else with any questions? There are no stupid questions, as I always say. You know, what's you know, there can't be such thing.
I've got a question.
Yeah. Alexander.
Kia ora, I'm Alexandra. The question I've got for John, Mātua, just interested about the titles that you're talking about, and where you're talking about going back to where the manipulation, I'll call it manipulation, had happened on the changing of the titles, or the Aboriginal native titles, which I believe started with Judge Fenton. Now, Judge Fenton was the presiding judge for the native land courts here in New Zealand.
Taylor,
Pardon?
That was in Taylor case, hey, Kingy.
Who? Oh, sorry, I'm not. Say that again. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, who's carrying on? Me or whoever's talking? Who's?
Are you talking about Judge? Oh no, I'm asking you a question, Alexander. Are you talking Are you talking about Judge Benton in the case of Taylor versus Wiremu Kingi of the Waikato block?
Well, Judge Fenton played a major part within turning customary Māori titles or land into general land. I mean, and he did a lot of that, including the creation of the Māori land courts, which started in 1865. So prior to that, I'll probably need to go back on some of my information, because I've just plucked this question out of the eye. I'm not even looking at it at the moment, but it has been playing on my mind, because I understand that the Treaty of Waitangi gives us the jurisdiction, or the Aboriginal native titles. So anything that happened after that, after the treaty, is really null and void. And the reason I say that is because is it Article 2 or Article 3 where the Queen has the right to purchase any whenua within New Zealand? That's why it's still under Aboriginal titles, because she hasn't done that.
Yeah, the preemptive clause, yeah.
Yeah, so that's my question with regards to when we're looking at navigating our way back to the native titles. Yeah, because they've already in Aboriginal native titles already existing within the 1840, within the treaty. Why? I just kind of like, why are we, when that's already been identified as a huge breach? Well, there's a lot of things that they're breaching and become very unlawful. I'm just wondering why the necessity of going back to Westminster for that. And I remember one of the other conversations that was had was about not looking at Queen Victoria or Queen or Elizabeth. When why I ask that question is because in 1865, and I've got to talk about Queen Victoria, and I'm sorry if it goes against, because that is one of the rules. You don't want to speak about that.
I'm allowing it. It.
That's okay.
It's okay, yeah, go on.
It's allowed.
Okay.
For clarity, yeah.
So in 1865, Queen Victoria deemed us as British subjects or natural born. and it's still existing within legislation today. And along with that, well, you know, that act was brought into the 1908 Native Rights Act. But what that gave us was the permission, and this is how I viewed it, was the permission to enter into the structure of the Queen's Courts as we sit now, because due to the Judicature Act, someone's saying here, due to the Judicature Act, we have the Queen's Bench, and we have also the other structures, which is the Chancery. At the bottom level of that structure, and I think I've shared that structure, which I got out of Butterworth's publication, some of Butterworth's publications book, particularly the commercial law book. Oh God, and I can't remember that one, but I can hear some beeping. Am I meant to?
No, that's okay. That was just my computer.
So, where was I? Yeah, so I believe she gave us the doorway in the sense for us to actually access the courts in the UK jurisdiction, because the Privy Court is at the lower end of her courts, which, you know, as you know, is at the top end of the Queen's Bench, is the Chancery. At the bottom, you've got the Privy, you've got the ecclesiastical, and there's some other courts there too. But I believe that the 1865 allowed us, or gave us the legal jurisdiction to actually go into to utilise her courts under the Māori customary usage.
Yeah, so
ancient usage.
Yeah, you're going under the Maori land court. 16. What year did you say? That's the Maori land court.
1862.
No,
And then 1865.
1865 Native Land Act.
1862 first.
Yeah, Land Act. That's the Land Act. So at the moment you have to follow all they've got, everything they've got in Maori, because you can't stray from it. You're caught up in the system, whether they got it direct from Westminster or got it through Australia. At the moment, my inkling is it's still coming through from Australia, acting in the government's. They're trying to change their law system into the Republic of Ireland right now in Parliament, acts to change the whole land structure. And in the Maori Land Court, they're trying to get rid of it this was over time, into the District Court. So there's a real transition in the Maori Land Court and trying to settle the treaty claims all out. And they should have done that by now, so that they can have full control of the land title, radical title. I call it radical title.
It's New South Wales radical
title. The radical title. And you're coming under the radical title of Australia through the government at the moment, because they're still acting as if Australia is in New Zealand and sharing our constitution and jurisdiction and Native Land Act 1993 over there. And that's the trouble you have with what you're doing with your land claims. It still comes up.
Sorry. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Martu, about those different jurisdictions and the New South Wales and where that came in with Busby. I understand about that jurisdiction, and they do have some sort of trying to form some sort of General Assembly coming under that 1901 Australian Constitution, 1901 Common Law. I hear what you're saying about that. And also that our Māori land courts is just a record court, really. So your district, our district, looking into the New Zealand structure, the district court and the High Court really can be on the same par as the Māori land court. And the tribunal, that's just a sounding board. It's just a load of rubbish. I shouldn't say that, but that's just my opinion. Because it's the actual Court of Appeal that we all should be going to. And I even think that it should be even higher than that, that we should actually be going over to Westminster to, you know, to air the grievance of actually what's been happening, because she is the external, you know. Even I know we don't want to go there, but I'm still stuck on that belief, you know, because in the, as you know, the whakaputanga was all in te reo. So when we look at Article 4, I think it's Article 4, it actually mentions that she's a parent and that we're the infant state. And then, I got told by another, you know, by someone else that she declared that our infant state.
You mean the king?
Someone saying something?
The king's been.
Sorry?
The Wakaputanga.
Yeah, yes. I hear what you're saying about that, and also, you know, I heard about I know about the kōrero of the flag and about the eight-sided whitu and the reasons for that, and the 5-star whitu, and I'm looking more in favour of the 8-sided whitu, for the fact was that each side or each point of that whitu represented the 7 wakas, and the 8th whitu, or the 8th.
Maori language.
8th one is Queen Victoria. Well, that was the king.
The Maori language on documents,
yeah,
comes under Queen Victoria, is locked into that side of the Queen's Bench Court, which is ruling now, and so your documents remain in their court under the Maori Land Court, because the Crown, the Little Crown in Wellington, owns the Maori Land Court, because they put it all together, and so you can't go into any other tribunal other than the tribunal they put up, because they're the government. You only have one government to run each country, and the Queen only listens to how the government runs, and there's no fighting. That's all she cares. She doesn't care about how you run your land titles and everything. It's up to you to get clear title, and that's what I deal with, clear title to the land, and apply that under your te ture whenua, which is that's a license to run the country. The government has equal rights, 50-50 right to run incorporations in the government. That's what they're using, and you're supposed to be using that in your trust when everything's run in a trust on your land, and so that's, you come up against the Maori Land Court and fighting over land, because they control what you do with it. That's why I keep away from Maori. That's why everything I document with Maori on, I won't have anything to do with, because it's caught up in the wrong side of the corporation law. It's not safe.
Well,
it's not safe. Everything in the Queen's Bench Court is not safe. You go back into the safety of the king. If someone in the monarch goes on the king, you're at least safe, because you come under the laws of a king, not a queen.
But the problem with the courts is they're operating under statutory jurisdiction that has nothing to do with common law.
They change.
That is the problem.
They change the laws to suit their government and the parliament. The parliament is the sovereignty to make laws themselves for themselves and their corporation, not the court. They don't care about the courts and your land cases. They only worry about their sovereignty and assuming that they are the Queen and right of New Zealand, all in all, everything that owns the place. That's the trouble with having Maori documents and everything that I keep away from. I have to keep away from. I was in the Maori government, Maori government, but I pulled away from it and went back into the safety of the Confederation and the flag. That's where it's safe.
Yeah, that's where John.
Because we're talking about two different entities, and we're talking about. I'm sort of hearing a bit about the Māori Affairs Act Trust, which was the Section 438. So in 1953, the Māori Affairs Act, Section 438 Trust were artificially made into the Ahu Whenua 211, isn't it? So we're talking about that also. We're also talking about, if we're looking at section...
The 2111.
The 2111, and then you've also got the 2112. Now, the 2112 are the inks that is actually... Sorry. Go.
Those are for our corporations under Hohepa Mapiria is
Yes.
211. Yeah.
Yeah, 211, yeah, 211.2, yeah, under our Tūti Whenua. Yeah, I'm talking
Yeah.
about the, I'm going about Tūti Whenua. Yeah, and looking at the different sections and where those, what you're talking about, the artificial entities of those, that's kind of like where, that's sort of some of what you're talking about. So what you're, so let me get this right. So William Wakefield, my understanding, William Wakefield was the creator of that colonised machine that we got down in Parliament. That's down in Parliament at the moment.
That's
now,
right.
while he was incarcerated for abducting a teenager, and I'm going and I'm talking about some of the references that came back from Michael King, the author, the historian Michael King, spoke a bit about William Wakefield and pretty much what his part was in creating that colonised machine that's operating down in Parliament. And they hid him behind his brothers because of what he'd done, because he was incarcerated, but he was the brainchild behind it. And when we talk about the Crown, because the Crown, I'm sort of understanding is that we got the British Crown, then you've got the other Crown, which belongs in the City of London. Where there's the mayor of the city. That's where all the world banks are pretty operating from. It's its own state. That's the Crown that I believe that is. Who's saying? Okay. So, and the other Crown, of course, is the British Crown. So, and then we're talking about our own Crown. So, some of that too is getting mixed in with, with your straw man, your bond man, your free man, your sovvy man, and then also.
That's not our Crown. We have no treaty with that Crown in Wellington. Yeah. No,
we don't. No, that is, I believe that is that's the Queen of Rock. That's right. We got nothing to do with that because my understanding is that the Queen Elizabeth. I'll do Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth II is the external trustee or sovereign, and we're the internal. Can I put it that way?
Yes and no. I have a different narrative on this.
So the Queen is the Crown. She's holding the crown on her head in Westminster on the throne. That's the big crown, I call it. The little crowns are the ones, the corporations that set up their own crowns, like the Pope and all the other rest of the corporations. The Pope's got a big crown of his own, and so Jacinda Ardern's got a crown of her own, succeeded by other governments, but she's carrying the same business as a separate crown that got to pay the big crown out of what money she collects off the people and the land, and so you're subjected. You're subjected to Jacinda Ardern's crown and her business, her private business.
But she's all of that, as you know, all of that's coming out of our Okoro Bank, hey? All of that's coming out of the interest of the UN and all of that, and all of what that Parliament's been doing, leasing or gets all paid to and our trustees are Prince William and the King and Queen of Spain and all of that sort of stuff. I'm familiar with all that.
We're still beneficiaries. We're still beneficiaries of that trust.
Yeah. Yes, we are. We are still beneficiaries of that trust. And also looking at the set of caveat, because set of caveat covers that too. That the interpretation of the set of caveat and the interpretation of the straw man. So the straw man, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the straw man is the UK, is the United States jurisdiction. Correct. The set of caveat is our, I won't say ours, is the jurisdiction that we sort of that we're in, which still puts us under that birth certificate stuff. Because this is what we're sort of talking about. So you're explaining to me about the little crown, the big crown, and the interpretation I've got of a little crown and a big crown are two totally different. Two totally different. Then we're talking about another crown, which is the birth crown that Andrew was talking about. So just so that we make it clear, the identifying clarity of interpretations, because they are all major players, key players as to where we are and why we are where we are.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and so we just need to identify and make sure that we're talking about what we are talking. There's a lot of people out there that don't even know that the crown is not the British crown. So you have to be quite clear, the British crown and the crown. And you're talking about another crown too. You're actually talking about the entities, the corporate entities. Pardon?
The Spanish crown. You've got kings and queens all over the world. And so the Spanish have their own king, queen, and our trust is over there with the king and queen of Spain. And
that's
Sophie.
Right. That's right. And Prince Andrew. They're
running off with our trust and spreading it out with the wealth amongst themselves. And we have this is what I've been battling for a long time to go and see the Queen to investigate or audit the books, or audit the accounts of the trust, because we're allowed beneficiaries change the trustees and boot them out. Is being caught up in fraud. He's one of the trustees, and the King of Spain and the Queen of Spain is there. She's corrupted. She got thrown in prison or something, and so those trusts.
I hear what you're saying.
On my Facebook, and all everything of how they're running the corporation for us, and I'm saying that they need to be replaced as trustees and put up there. That's why I went there to be a trustee of our trust to grab all that stuff off them, because they're running the business for us rampant. Any trust, if they play, you can replace them with the people online. And that's what we're going to do that online here and vote her out of the trust. And put new trustees in. That's us. That's only us in New Zealand. Nobody else in the world.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with what you're saying about that, corridor, that we need to be actually to have some form of transparency and clarity as to what is happening to our estate.
That's what this is.
And I totally agree with you, because Maopedia, sorry. Well, someone, Maopedia had put something in. I mean, my understanding is that there was to be, when the government was to be set up under the Te Tii Whenua Māori Land Act 1993, that, about the 10 Waka district inks, about the 7 inks that need to be occupied within the area of the 10 Wakas, about how that was to be set up. And then from that, they received a seal. And this is some of the stuff that you talked about before about this.
Yeah, our incorporation's part of that. Yeah.
Yes.
I was as well down in Horota, that when we had 80 incorporations that walked over the bridge to the flagpole, the Maori party went the other way to the marae. They didn't come there. They followed us because the police stopped us from going across the bridge at Waitangi to go and hoist our flag up and claim the whole place back. And Maopedia opened the way for us to go through and told the police to get out of the and told them to get out of the way. That's when we were stopped. The incorporations didn't listen to him. 5 resolutions we had to pass. That's all he wanted, and we got the whole country back. One shot.
Yes. But no, 2005. I was blessed to be gifted with some of Maopedia's manuscripts. I was blessed to be gifted with them, and I see a lot of stuff there. And he used a lot of live scenarios to prove the power of the Te Tii, closing down courts, You know, he used a lot of real examples to show the power of the Te Tii. And the year you're talking about was in 2005.
Yeah.
So so everything was, you know, and he handed over the seals. They were given, you know, the inks were given a job to be done, and it was supposed to have been carried out, and it wasn't. And some of it was just simple stuff that they had to finish up, and they didn't do it. So
I think,
so I understand there was a recall on it.
yeah, but I think there's about 3 Māori incorporations that are actually in order.
Yes.
My one is one of them. And
Oh,
there's 2
that's
others.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I don't know yet who is running it. Tina Brown won't answer me with my incorporation, and there with Horota at our nine thing incorporations, and I'm trying to where it's going. So I gave up in the end, and just stay with the Confederation, which is more going for it.
Yeah.
Even
Well,
though
I'm going with both. I'm going with the Confederation of Chiefs of Aotearoa as well as the our Māori incorporation.
yeah, the incorporation.
Both John and I we've been part of the Confederation of Chiefs of Aotearoa. I think it's what 27 years now, 28 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the incorporations is a valid instrument in the Westminster. That's why I go with it. But
Yeah,
I haven't got
it is.
around. I haven't got time to do anything with it. I've only got time to do the Confederation work.
Yeah, okay. Well, I understand that. I do understand that the Tikanga Law Society is not really fully operating anyway. But even when we look at the structure of everything, you still have the 10. You still have to have the 10 Waka districts set up with 7 inks, and then there's some other positions here, and I can't remember it. I haven't got it in front of me. I'll bring it next time we have a hurry. I'll make sure I've got it all up in front of me. I haven't got it up in front of me to actually talk to it, because they don't have to be full. The wakas don't have to be full. They just have to be occupied. When we're looking at declaring an act of state, you see, and that's when the government, because that Te Tii was not written for us. It's them. It's a protectorate law for us, but we haven't got any laws yet.
Yeah. So that's what I separate. I keep them separate because the conflicts with Confederation documents, with anything with Maori on it. That's what I say. I keep away from Maori on documents because you're they belong to it. They own the patent rights to the word and everything Maori. That's why I keep right away from it and wait till the time they change over to the Moai, which is the real memorial to the land, and that's sitting in London. In London, the Rothschilds have got it and claimed that memorial to their documents. And so we go there and claim the damn thing back with our documents, and that fixes all our problems up. That's why.
So when you talk about the Rothschilds, we're talking about the City of London, and we're talking about that crown.
Yep,
we're not talking about Westminster. Westminster is the British crown. So when you're talking about Rothschilds and all the other, sorry to interrupt you there. When you're talking about Rothschilds and all the other families, because there's 12 of them. I think there's about 12 families. You know, because they did, you know, when you look back at what Nathan Rothschild, I mean, you know, and I still haven't got that information. I can't even talk to that yet because I haven't got all the information in front of me. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying about going in to find out what is happening. Because there's been I agree with that. And also when, you know, I shared with you the Wakapapa of Wakapapa is important. And I shared with you the Wakapapa of William the Conqueror and King George Queen Elizabeth's father. What was it, King George the 5th or 6th? 6th. because it's really, really important that we can do our whakapapa. Like, that was one thing I really focused and concentrated on, was to get right through to King David, because my understanding was that King David was the creator and the founder of the UK dynasty. So we can whakapapa to him, we pretty much can go anywhere and do and whatever. So, you know, those are some of the strengths that that we can work on as individuals to come together, because hau kainga is only done through whakapapa.
Yeah, so that's what I say. In the Crown, the Rothschilds hold the money. They screwed all the money. Who gave them the authority to make money in the first place?
Oh, you got it from the bank charter.
They got it from the king.
1694 from King William III.
Well, he, yeah. Oh, look, I'll go and open up my computer, because I can talk to all this, what you're talking about. I'll go on mute until I open up my computer, and then I can talk to this, and I can give you some years and some history that I hope you can take note of and record. So if you don't mind, if I can excuse myself, and I'll put myself on mute, and then I can talk to what you're talking about. Is that okay?
That's okay.
I need to go to the toilet anyway. Okay, that's all right.
That's all right.
I need to go.
I'll just talk to Andy for a little while you're gone.
Yeah, sure. That's good.
Yeah.
I've got to nip out in just under 20 minutes to just take the wife.
Okay.
But
we'll try and wrap it up. We'll wrap it up soon. And
we can either wrap it up there, and Alexandra can come back and do that for the next, get all her information for the next one, or I can leave it and I can come back. So I'll leave it open.
I think so, because a lot of people are watching us, and we're modeling out other countries as well. That's not only us. So I'm just leaving it open, because there's nobody else asking other questions to the agenda. So that's why I leave it open for anybody to talk, and they're talking about their land issues here, which wasn't something that I wanted to concentrate on, because it's another issue another day. It's those points that I put down that we need to focus on and talk about. But nobody, I think people are getting the answer now of what's there, and look at it and go over what we're saying and make their decisions up. And I still think that if we change the mindset of people on how we're struggling, I don't want that word struggle to come in. And while we've got the power to do things, than to go and spend a lot of time on land titles that are still in dispute. They'll always be in dispute of the Crown. So long as you walk into their courts, you're still going to be caught up in it, in the system. Yeah. That's why I say, Andy. But it's all right to leave them to talk. But it's us and our time, and for you to have time too, to go and do your thing. Now that we've covered our what I wanted to say in the minutes for this week, at least, because this has all been talked on Te Tii Marae, and they want to look at the big issues of really what we're trying to do here in front of the British people in particular, who are watching what we say online, and any land issues. I'm not going to add too much when things says to go back to King David, all right up. They didn't have commercial contracts back then. You only see where the money is. You just go straight to the bank and follow the bench bank where the money was made from a king's acts of parliament. The Rothschilds and the Vatican, they all made their money from Westminster and those acts of kings, not queens. Yeah. That's what I say. It's pointless talking about God and all those things right back in time on land issues and bank money and all that sort of thing, because they don't care. They don't care how much you talk about land and ancestors and everything. They've got the right king, the right monarch line for their corporation. Rothschild's got their own corporation. The Queen's got her own corporation. Queen Elizabeth is a company. They're just that. Buckingham Palace is another company. I'm saying these things too, because I searched them out. And the Crown is another entity, the big one. And so you've got all the royal families, 300 royal families in the Rothschild family, 300.
Yeah, that's right.
Not less than that.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of people in the monarch line of descent. Yeah.
Committee of 300. Yeah.
Yeah. So there. It's too much to go and jump into King David and everybody else and King Arthur, because King Arthur didn't have commercial contracts and lease lands and all those things to make money out of the land. So you stick with the birth certificates and things that in our time of King George, start from there. Start from King George IV, King George IV in Ireland. So start from there. What he did, what King George did was going good, and then King George V went off into King George VI, into Queen Elizabeth. Then it went all haywire and fraud for their families. You got nothing; they got it all, so we get it all back.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Waste of time.
Yeah. What's the purpose of going back to King David when
Yeah,
we can just go to King William
We
the
got-
Third of Orange?
We got the flag, Andy, and that's all that matters. If you know the flag, the front, you know, it's everything. If
Can you-
they only knew Ngapuhi, if a Ngapuhi only knew what the flag means, really.
Well, I mean,
The
Rothschild-
reason I went, can I say sorry.
Go on, Alexander.
Sorry, the reason I actually mentioned that was for the fact that a natural law is God's law. Universal law comes out of the Vatican law. And the reason I mentioned that was because the first laws of the land were the 10 Commandments.
Yeah,
That's
but
the
it didn't
reason
make didn't make money.
Sorry.
That's what it didn't make money in the commercial world, where all the wealth
Yeah.
and all the houses and all the businesses were made out of money from these things I'm saying.
The Rothschilds said it
That's
very
what-
clearly.
that's-
You know,
that-
you control
sorry.
money. Like the Rothschilds said it very clearly. Yeah, if you control the money, and I care not what any government is, because he's controlling them. So it was about the control of the money, and this was the king's, and this is where it's been usurped. So to put the money back in the position of the people, which is under the kings and the crowns on the 50-50 partnership, is there where you're now paying the protectorate, which is the navy, to come back and clean up shop. So the importance of the control of the money, is where John's like saying this is the kings, like the creation of the money has been usurped by the Rothschilds, and they're the ones that are doing what the damage that they're doing, and they not fear about anybody who put in, because they're all paid.
Well, it's Caesar's law. That's what we're talking about. It's Caesar's law. What I'm talking about is finding the whakapapa of where you come to within, we can look at the LAW or we can look at the LORE. But when I talk, and I'm talking about the Bible here, when we're looking at the Bible and the whakapapa of Jesus Christ, that's what I'm talking about. So the first laws of the land, and no denial here, were the 10 Commandments. And that's why it's still existing, because the 1688 Bill of Rights, the original documentation or founding document were the 10 Commandments. So that's why I've even gone back further than King David. But never mind about that. I just thought I'd share that with you. So,
that's all right.
and we are talking about the kings, but that's okay. And that's the reason why. So I'm going to go on mute again.
It's okay.
Well, I'm coming to my end now, because I've got to shoot in a minute anyway. So, but no, it's all relevant, but not relevant to the position what John was talking about. That's all we're saying. It's all well and good, but it's not. It's another conversation on another point, not for this, not for this particular one. No disrespect in any way, shape, or form, and respect for what you said.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, Andy, we'll let you get on with it,
Yeah.
and I'll have some dinner. I'll go
exactly.
and have.
Well,
And it's good that we didn't get cut out, and they're not playing funny games with us.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'll get this one. Downloaded. Well, we're downloading while I go off and do what I've got to do, and then I'll get it on to YouTube.
Okay, and I'll try and get Gino Dean up on the site to talk about other issues of the land, anything to do with the land.
And the other thing, I mean, because that's the other things can be all brought in once we take back. It's about getting the flag legalized for them. Then it's back into the people's hands, like us, that in the natives, like and we're all natives. We're all crown. So anyway, yeah, that's my point on it. Anyway, so okay, thank you very much for everyone for turning up. Thank you again.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew.
Yep, thank you. Thank you.
Till next time.
Yeah,
Thank
till
you.
next time.
Sure. Sure.
Thank you, Alexandra.
Thank you then.